Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 500. What are we on? 562?
What?
What are we on?
642.
You made the overlay.
Sorry, back up. We're going to start this whole thing over.
No, we're going. We're doing this.
This is episode terrible. 500 and 645 too. That's the episode.
None of this.
This is how counting works.
I have never botched an episode title or number as much as I just did. So
Nick, episode titles are just a construct. A man invented to keep you down.
Dude, we made them up.
That's true. This is definitely, even though this is technically episode 642, this is actually not episode 642. We've done many episodes that don't fall into the actual count. So anyways, I apologize for fucking up the count so badly. My name is Nick Henderson. I am joined tonight by, I'm trying to figure out where to go next. Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
Christopher Davis.
Hello, hello.
Christopher Guthridge.
Hello.
Who was looking at pictures of dwarves right before the show.
Now it's elves.
And Ed Mitchell.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh my God. Guys, video games. It's been a big week for video games. It's like E3 is happening, kind of.
Like
but a
E2.
little bit. It's like E2, but it's like a little bit every single day, and I'm liking this trend. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Before we get to that, there's a few bits of housekeeping I want to get through first. One, we've had a lot of people asking us about the possibility of recording a Final Fantasy VII Remake spoiler cast. And I can tell you now, it is going to happen. My hope is right now we're waiting for Bradley to finish the game. And he's getting close. So as soon as he finishes it, we're going to get this podcast on the books, on the calendar.
So everyone listening, do us all a favor. Go
Pressure
on Twitter
the hell out of Brad.
and at him and tell him to finish the fucking game.
I think that's going to make him not want to play it.
I'm wondering if he's not here tonight because he is playing Final Fantasy VII and he knew that was the only way he's going to finish it. I hope that's the case. We'll see. The point is, we're going to record this episode here soon, and I think David is going to be on it as well. So it should be a packed show. We have a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of stuff to unpack there. So we're going to try and get that recorded, hopefully sometime next week, if Brad can, pull it off. I hope he's listening to this episode. Other thing, if you're a Patreon supporter and you like to ask us questions on shows, we're doing things a little bit differently now. We started a Google form because we realize we're just flooding our Patreon feed with posts that are completely irrelevant after we record the show. So instead of doing that, we have a single pinned post at the top of our Patreon feed with a link to a form where you can submit questions for future episodes. So we're going to be taking all future questions from that form. We're still going to go through some of our old questions tonight from the old spreadsheet we've been working through. But after that, it's done. It's done. We're going to be taking questions completely through that form. So you can find that the link to that form in the supporters channel in Discord. It's pinned, or you can find it at the very top of our Patreon feed at patreon.com/4player. And lastly, if you're a $10 supporter or higher, we made a post today with kind of feeling out, dipping our toe in the water with the new potential incentive for $10 plus patrons to kind of get people more involved and help us produce video content and stuff. So
we're starting an OnlyFans.
Oh, shit.
Topical humor.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I saw a post of someone getting ripped off by an OnlyFans earlier today where like the picture was this girl like in a bathtub, like looking up at the camera, but she put a sticker over the bits,
The bits, yes.
And was like, join my OnlyFans, and this dude's like, I joined it, and he shows the picture and it's like just water covered. It's just like milky water covered. Like, God damn it! Oh
my God!
Sorry, I just said that.
Can
What's this new incentive?
Well, now that Nolan's thrown that possibility out, I feel like maybe we should be considering that one instead.
Only for $100 patrons, though.
$100 patrons. One of us, you get one of us. It could be any of us. Is an OnlyFans, 4Player OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding. That's not happening.
Weird things.
Carlos gets an OnlyFans. Can you imagine?
For Carlos, I'm pretty sure it would be OnlyFan.
Oh.
Let's not ever forget the time that Carlos streamed Resident Evil 4 on
Chatterbait.
And he streamed it he got away with it for a surprisingly long time before he got kicked
They were
off.
like, hey, this isn't lewd enough.
So that's fantastic. But anyways, the actual incentive, just to kind of fill you up, you can go to the post for more information, but essentially we're considering getting it's like a video producer tier. So if you're at the $10 tier or higher, you can help us conceptualize and develop short videos that we would produce once a month. That can be anything from like short top 5 videos to, I don't know, like I had a few ideas I'm going to post on there just to kind of get people's creative juices flowing, I guess. But, short 5 to 10 minute videos that may involve one or more members of the staff. Anything video game related. So we're kind of looking for ideas here. But the idea is that $10 patrons can get involved, help us conceptualize these videos. You'll be credited in the video itself as well. And we'll do those once a month. So it's kind of a fun thing, but we want to hear your feedback. So if you are in that tier, go to patreon.com, leave us your feedback. You can also just ping me in the supporters channel in Discord. We'd love to hear from you.
And maybe to get us started, there may be a video coming out in a few weeks from now, maybe.
Do
That was kind of coy.
Yeah, do I know what this video is?
Happen?
No, you don't.
Is it some? I don't. Okay, I don't know what.
Has Chris been recording us without our knowledge?
Did Chris start an
Every
OnlyFans?
night.
Anyways, so yeah, patreon.com/4player if you want to know more about that. But anyways, let's get to the show. I want to start with feedback, of course. We got some feedback from our last episode. First one comes from Equack, and this is regarding Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We talked about it a little bit. It says regarding the logo. Oh no, sorry, this was regarding the logo for the game Chorus. If you remember us talking about that from the Microsoft event.
Corvus.
That was that Control-esque looking game thing.
He wanted to educate us a little bit.
Okay.
He said, you'll see the letter V in place of a U on a lot of historical inscriptions throughout Europe, for example, on buildings and statues. The letter U was not commonly used until the 17th century. People sometimes still use it for stylistic reasons. As a metal fan, maybe Nick has seen the word Cult, which is the band spells it CVLT. I did not make that connection, but it's very interesting. I didn't really realize
That's why
this,
it's called a W, by the way.
Yeah, W.
Hold on.
But that's also why, and I think French and maybe and whatever. It's not W, it's W, which is double V.
Yeah, in Spanish it's W.
Yeah, V.
You guys all just blew my mind. Damn, dropping facts.
Yeah, Latin didn't have the letter V; it just had the letter U, but it looked like a V. That's where it all comes from.
Well, shit.
Did you also know in the Latin alphabet, Jehovah begins with an I?
Yes,
does anybody else have any?
If I know anything about Latin, it's that.
Anybody else have any weird knowledge about the alphabet you want to drop right now? I'll take that as a no. Thorax has our next comment. He says, I think it would be best if Ubisoft would replace and he's using my words, this is not quote unquote rape and pillage mechanic from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We were talking about Vikings. That's what they did, right?
You're gonna be able to do what?
You can raid as in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but Vikings were known for raping and pillaging. That's
sure.
Yeah. So it was kind of the question was, how is Assassin's Creed going to kind of like conceptualize that and make it feel less scummy? It's weird. It's weird. But he says they should replace that mechanic with the waifu system in Fire Emblem Fates. Maybe someone who's more familiar with Fire Emblem Fates understands that.
Ed?
Just a bunch of Vikings dating each other.
Yeah, it's just like
I'll take it.
Have the ability to pick whoever you want in your army and get a support up high enough, and then you'll marry them and have a kid.
Oh, that's how love works. He also says Ritz crackers and aerosol cheese is a good snack to try.
Delicious.
Easy
I don't think
cheese.
that's
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, like Cheese Whiz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Dude, honestly, that was funny. I was talking with Bernadette about it, I don't know, like a week or two ago, because we had bought craft singles for the first time in a really long time. And I was saying that like one of my childhood snacks, like almost a delicacy, if you will, was saltines and like craft singles.
Oh,
And that was like a specialty when I was a kid.
that was a delicacy, huh?
Yep.
The crackers are particularly crisp this morning.
One of my snacks
Wow.
as a kid was
Perfectly
easy
salted.
cheese sandwiches. So
Was what?
easy cheese sandwiches.
What the fuck's easy cheese? Is like Cheese
The
Whiz?
aerosol cheese, yes.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
just
God,
the
just
brand.
like-
Between bread?
Yeah.
Oh
Eh,
God, I'm so.
Aerosolized cheese flavored product.
Yes, basically.
I'm gonna move on. That sounds gross. Slop
It's not as
Dog
bad as
says.
you think.
I don't remember. I don't know what this was in reference to exactly, but it's relevant, I guess. He says, "Damn, I remember the whole Zip Whip P discussion from way back, and at the time, I was just not getting it. But then I got a job with a proper uniform with undershirt." Crispy's already cracking up. With undershirt and button-up shirt all tucked in, and y'all's very words saved me much frustration.
Mhm.
So this is a belated thank you for enlightening me about proper pissing maneuvers.
I can save a life, man.
This guy knows some maneuvers.
That's why we do it.
It's a public service announcement.
That's what gets me up in the morning.
That was
Wait,
that
you
was
wear
a
jeans when you sleep?
that was a gem of a conversation. In our last comment tonight, we've already kind of covered this, but he says the Drunken Merchant says, "Will you guys do a Final Fantasy VII remake spoiler cast when you all
No.
finish?" Yes, yes,
No.
we will. He says,
Well,
"I'm
we
really."
were going to, but
but not anymore. He says, "I'm really interested in seeing all of your opinions on the narrative changes. At first, I hated everything that strayed outside of the original story, but after some time and after listening to other viewpoints online, I saw everything in a new light. I'm now extremely optimistic for the next title, despite not liking Nomura and his Nomura-isms." Yeah, that is going to probably be a bulk of the conversation
Who
that
asked
happens. The Drunken Merchant.
Drunken Merchant. So at first he wanted no Mora. Just kidding.
God,
All right.
no. Get out of here.
right,
such a
bye.
stretch.
We can run this podcast with 4 people.
So to answer your question, yes, we're going to do a spoiler cast, and I think that's going to be a bulk of the conversation that happens on that cast, for reasons that you probably already understand if you finish the game. So, like I said, we'll keep everybody informed as to when that's going to happen. I'm hoping it'll be sometime next week. But with that said, thank you guys for your feedback. Of course, if there's anything you would like to contribute or chime in or whatever it may be after any of the discussions we're about to have on this very episode, just go to 4playernetwork.com, find the post for this episode, and leave us a comment, and we'll read it sort of next week's show. But now,
So
let's get into it.
So Nick, I did some math here real quick.
Oh boy.
And I found out that if we do a podcast each week,
This
we
is about to
will
be one of
end
those,
up
like,
doing episode 666 on Halloween,
is Halloween a Thursday this year?
or rather the week of Halloween, October 28th to be specific. So
Why don't we
If-
just call that episode 666 no matter what episode we're on?
I like that idea too. It requires less effort
Even
on
if
our
it means having 2 666s.
Exactly.
I'm just
so we can
saying.
call episode 666
I
again.
mean, it would just feel appropriate.
665B.
Yeah, exactly. Or 665.5.
yeah, we can
whatever.
just drag it out until we
Do
actually.
it. And let's make a
Fuck
whole podcast that just screams, just screaming.
I like this. I like this plan.
Just
You
an
know what?
hour of screaming.
Like
I
the
think
Hell
it-
Chorus from Doom Eternal.
The funny thing is, if we did that, I still think people would say our worst episode was the one where we got drunk.
I love that episode.
Which one?
I don't know,
People seem to
I
like that
episode so
one.
much.
I hate that episode so
That's
much.
the first episode I watched or I
hate
listened
that
to.
one.
And
of the
look,
show.
Ed's still here.
And I'm
Yes,
still
I
here.
know.
Which
And-
which one was that?
I don't remember.
That was
Somebody in
Mike's
chat was-
birthday. It
Do you
was
not
Mike's
remember?
birthday,
Mhm.
and he brought over orange juice and vodka, and we all drank screwdrivers. But anytime someone was running low, instead of pouring more orange juice and vodka in their cup, he would just pour more vodka in the cup. And by the end of it, we were just drinking vodka, and I don't remember the end of it. But yes, it was a fucking ridiculous show.
Must have been before my time.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I experience what I've started to refer to as secondhand embarrassment. When I've noticed this, like the reason I can't watch cringe videos is because I feel too much secondhand embarrassment. That's why I can't watch like television shows where it's like just really awkward shit happening. And I was like,
yourself in it.
I can't listen to that episode of the podcast because I feel secondhand embarrassment for myself.
Isn't that just embarrassment?
That's just embarrassing.
It's secondhand just because you don't remember it.
That's just a shame. It's okay. Feel it, Nick.
Maybe that would be very therapeutic if I went back and listened to it. Somebody find out what episode that was. Maybe I need this.
I found it one time, and I'm looking for it now, and I can't find it. But
somebody out there, somebody in chat can figure this out. But anyways, we need to move on. We have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We're gonna talk about the Wonderful 101 remaster. We're gonna talk about Pathologic 2, Iron Danger. We're going to talk about our reactions to that Ghost of Tsushima gameplay demonstration they did today. So yeah, we got a lot of ground to cover. So we do typically start with the newer thing, and Nolan, the Wonderful 101, I think is technically the newest thing on the dock. Like newest.
That game's like 7 years old.
But this is a remaster. It's a remaster.
Yeah.
Nobody played it.
I guess I'm the only one playing it so far.
Yeah, I got the code.
Yeah, no, that's fine. The only reason I ended up booting it up was because I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I was like, well, the podcast is tomorrow. Maybe I'll play this instead of like jumping like into like hard mode of Final Fantasy VII or back into like XCOM, Chimera Squad, because we've already talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So I booted up Wonderful 101 Remaster. I never finished the original. I don't know how much I played. I can't remember. It's been a while. But I never finished it. So I was like, hey, you know what? I've been wanting to play this game. Everyone was very excited when the Kickstarter got announced. And so I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. So yeah, I decided to play it. And it's good. It's as good as I remember it being. It's fun. It's got that Kamiya humor.
One of the reasons, so I got on the Kickstarter, I requested the physical PS4 copy, and because of the pandemic, obviously they were sending people Steam codes in the meantime because the shipping got delayed and everything. And I think a lot of people initially were talking about the PC port having some technical issues, so I kind of decided to wait on booting it up.
Technical in what regard?
Like,
did you see
a lot of frame rate issues and stuff like that? Have you? I mean, maybe they've patched it already. I'm not even sure.
I don't know if they have. Let's blame my bad gameplay on the frame rate. Let's do that. No. So yeah, I have noticed a couple of times some frame drops, but in all honesty, like it hasn't been anything that's been like game breaking for me. Just every once in a while, like a frame would drop. Honestly, for me, it seems to have been happening more during like cutscenes than actual gameplay.
Yeah.
The one thing, and I'm once again, I'm going to blame my problems on someone else. I think if you watch this gameplay, one of the reasons I've been having issues is because I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing, and obviously Nintendo controller versus Xbox controller, the X and Y and A and B are in different places. And I always get fucking confused, and I press the wrong one. And it took me forever to figure out what I was doing in this. So honestly,
I still do that to this day. Every time I pick up a Nintendo controller, I always have to like double check and remember which buttons are which.
The later footage, I'm playing a lot. Part of this footage, I'm playing a lot better than I am right here. This is literally like the first actual battle you get into in the game. But yeah, it's definitely fun. It's definitely still it's good. I don't remember. It's one of those things where when I look at this, I'm sure it looks better than it did on the Wii U, but I honestly don't like. This is how I remembered on the Wii U. It's one of those things where, like, when you think of those old games, you don't think about the pixels and like the low quality. You think about the memories of it.
It is a it's got like a very stylized visual style.
It holds easily, even when you do like upscale it to like a higher performing platform, it still looks good no matter what.
Yeah, even the character sprites are so small that you really don't pay attention to it. Really.
Yeah, that's true, too.
It's very Okami-esque in that way. Like I'm playing Okami right now, and it's also like they haven't really had to do much to it to make it continue to look amazing on newer hardware. So how did they handle the stuff that would normally have been
so
on the
at
controller?
some point in this footage you'll see it, but it pops up almost picture in picture on the bottom right. That's where it will show up. And so you'll be able to see all of the people who are currently in your crew, all the citizens you've recruited, and all the wonderful 100 members. And then also the map will show up there. And you use the select button or the back button, whichever button you want to call it, the left center button, to either toggle that or remove it completely. So you don't have it on there. So it'll kind of look like how it looks right now, where it's just not there.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the spot where like, oh, you go inside a building and you have to do stuff in there, normally you would be doing that on the handheld part. It just
Switches
kind of
to it?
swaps.
Yeah.
So now the big screen is what you would see on the handheld, and the smaller screen is what you would see on the TV if you were on like playing this on the Wii U.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it's the best way they could have done it.
How do you think that looks or works on the Switch? Like specifically in handheld mode. That's the big
I would assume it's probably the same, and it's just probably very hard to play handheld because things are already tiny as they are. But thankfully, in this game, it like all of the tiny bits don't necessarily matter. That's kind of the good thing about this game. Is even though there's like a shit ton going on, each individual little element doesn't necessarily matter as much.
Yeah, because you're controlling a big group, and
you're controlling a mob of people.
Yeah.
And even if like some of those people get like knocked out by an enemy, and you can like regroup them, or if you just give it enough time, they'll like regroup on their own. So it's just one of those things where maybe it might be a little more difficult to get platinum ratings on the Switch if you're playing handheld, like on a Switch Lite, versus on like PC or something like that. But whatever. One thing I actually thought about, and obviously I'm sure it's way too complicated and probably not worth the time and effort, but easily you can have an application running in 2 windows on like a computer. So in theory, you could have had this game run in multiple windows and had one screen be on. Most people in this day and age either have multiple monitors or large enough monitors that you can have them going at the same time. Something I thought about, and who knows, maybe someone will eventually mod this game to do that. But it works as is. I didn't really have any issues with it when I was playing it last night. Once again, I've probably only played the game for about an hour as of right now, maybe an hour and a half. So
is this going to be the time that you play?
Oh, I'm definitely going to finish it. Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind now. I don't know if I'm going to finish it in the next week. Obviously, right now is the best time to do it because we got fucking big games on the horizon. So it'd be good to finish it before those come out. But yeah, I do intend to finish it this time around.
It looks so charming. I do love the way this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really bummed that I never actually played it on the Wii U, but this.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. I'm a dick. I own it. I never played it, and I had my Wii U is officially disconnected in my closet. I'm not hooking that shit back
This
up.
was the greatest game on the Wii U.
I know.
And
So
it really like comes together in the last like 30, 45 minutes.
I know. I remember y'all raving about like the final sequence and how it was balls to the wall crazy it was, and I'm so excited to play it. And that's why I was a little concerned. It was a Kickstarter project, and everyone's been kind of down on it just from a technical standpoint, which I think people were just maybe expecting more from it, and were a little bummed that there were still some frame rate issues and whatnot. But as long as it's still playable and fun, like just the fact that I can go back and play it now without having to bust out my Wii U, that's really all I want. So that's good.
So the question I have is how this translates from the Wii U to other platforms, as far as
They're probably gonna handle it the same way.
I mean, like more specifically, like the character formations and drawing the shapes you need to do in order to get the characters and.
I mean, you do it the same way you did on the Wii U. You always use the analog stick and the.
Yeah, the Wii U.
Oh, really?
The Wii U had like you could draw on the screen, but like that was.
It was more difficult.
That was not a fun way to play this game.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that was
Especially later on when
originally.
you have to like switch forms.
Yeah, similar to how the functionality was already there on the Wii U, that you would use the left right analog stick. Sorry, the right analog stick to move all the characters around into some formation, either a circle for the fist or a straight line for the sword. I don't remember the later bits, and then you press B or whatever to complete that motion. So you'll see me do it right here. I mess up a couple times because I was fucked up by the wall, and that's why I back away. But you draw a circle with the analog stick, you press the button, now you're in the fist, you go up, you interact with the gear. And actually, so you'll see it here. You'll see actually when I go inside. I think this might be the first time it does the picture-in-picture thing.
Oh, perfect.
This is where you have to match the code.
Yeah, exactly. I was having trouble like turning it. Like it wasn't like I guess I was just kind of confused. I was like, should I go slow or fast? For those who want to know, just go fast. Just like do it. I thought I had to try and match it or something. But yeah, so now you can see you have like the picture-in-picture. And this is where it's like teaching you how to do that. And like I said, afterwards, you'll be able to turn that on and off whenever you want.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not.
Gigamir does ask if you can use mouse and keyboard for it. I would imagine there's an option.
Probably, but I did not. I didn't even try.
I mean, it was built from the ground up for a console using a controller, and
for the most part, when I'm playing a third person or isometric game on a computer, I don't use mouse and keyboard. I'm just much more comfortable using a controller. I generally only use mouse and keyboard for like first person games.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I'm very much looking forward to playing it myself now that I got a code. Because who knows when they're actually going to ship out on console. All right, so next, why don't we go over to Ed? You have a new game.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is new.
It is new.
Is brand new?
It came out in March, I think.
All right, tell us about Iron
like
Danger.
Yeah, so this is a game that I first played at PAX last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just like, I saw it. It's part of, I think Daedalic does it, is the publisher. And I walked over to their booth, and they made like Felix the Reaper last year. They done a couple of games. There's a game that came off called Ignatus that's kind of like a Darkest Dungeon kind of thing. But anyway, so this game is kind of like it's kind of turn-based in the sense that like you make your moves and then the next person makes their moves and stuff like that. But instead of it being, it's like turn-based and real time at the same time. During combat, you pause, the game time clock pauses completely, and you have 14 heartbeats is what they call them to make moves. And so each one of your moves takes a certain number of heartbeats to do. And so like the way it works is that when you're fighting, like if some guy comes at you and starts to swing his sword, if you're also swinging your sword at them, you can like interrupt them by hitting them, but if they hit you first, they'll interrupt you, right? So you can see the exact moment where they hit you, and then you can dodge out of the way instead.
And this so the footage we're watching right now is like isometric though. This looks okay.
Yeah, this is the entire game is this isometric look, and so you see just a second ago, you can see an arrow is about to come hit me, and I'll like have to dodge out of the way of it, otherwise it'll hit me. See, it just hit me just there.
Yeah.
I might be a little bit behind you guys, but the arrow hits me and I have to move out of the way in order to avoid it. But because I know exactly what heartbeat it's going to hit me, I know how early or whatever I have to move. So yeah, the game is pretty cool. You basically you play with 3 different characters for the most part. You only play with 2 at a time, and one character is like a tanky character who has a big axe or whatever. One character is more like a roguish character, and then the main character, the girl you play, is more like a mage, and she'll at first she'll just have fire magic, and then as she progresses through the game, she'll get like plant-based magic, and then ice-based magic, and then eventually she has the ability to heal, and then she has this really cool ability called Mesmerize. It's very late game, but basically you can use it to make someone else like an enemy mad, and then all the enemies will like swarm them and attack them. So while you do that, you group them up and then throw a big fire bomb, and if there's oil on the ground around them, the oil will explode. So kind of a little bit like Divinity Original Sin as far as like the environment of reactions to the elements and stuff like that. You can like set someone on fire, but then if you hit them with the frost weapon instead, they'll like just go back to normal. They won't be burning anymore. So a little bit of synergistic way of doing things. And yeah, the game is really fun. The only problem that I have with it is when the part where it ends is basically like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go off and fight what I think is the final boss, and the game's like, okay, game over now. So it's like it's kind of weird. Like the end of the journey is after she gathers all these different crystals or shards, is what they're called, and then the game's just over.
So they
even
pull a
though-
Halo 2.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. It's just
Weird.
like it feels like the whole time she's talking as she's getting to the last couple shards, she's like, okay, after I beat this, I'm gonna go fight the enemy like queen or whatever, and then she's like, I'm gonna go do it, and then the credits roll, and I'm like, wait, what? That's it, really? There is like a final boss kind of thing that you're build up to during the game, but there's like the faceless queen or whatever of the enemy tribe or enemy nation that I expected to be the actual final boss and wasn't. But
So real quick, so is the game structured into like missions where you're just going and you're
Yeah.
doing these battles, and it's just one battle after the next?
yeah, so there's like there's chapters, and each chapter is like a little mini, like little map, and then you're kind of moving around the map, and as you get into combat, the game pauses, and then you do your kind of turn-based stuff, and then you get out of combat, and then you're back to real time. And actually, at the end of each chapter, it says how much time you spent, like in actual gameplay time versus like how much you actually spent in like real life time. So it kind of shows you like, oh,
Huh.
you might have actually only been playing in the game as far as the game's concerned for like 15 minutes, but your actual chapter took like 30 or 45 or whatever.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
Because you spent that much time like in a pause menu, like
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
figure-
basically,
okay,
like or like rewinding time and stuff like that. It tells you. It also tells you how many times you died during it, because you die very easily
Mhm.
because it's a trade-off of dying on a one hit versus you being able to rewind time and then dodge that ability. So everything hurts a lot. But yeah, it's a pretty neat game. It's very very tactical in the way that you
And
play.
Is there only 3 characters total?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. There's only
Okay.
3 characters, and you only play with 2 at a time. It just depends on the chapter whether you
So
get.
someone gets shafted.
You don't get to choose.
Yeah, yeah. It's just kind of decided by the chapter that you're playing.
the story kind of
Yeah,
determines it.
You always play with the mage, and then the other 2 characters switch off. Basically.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's a very unique thing, like game mechanic that I haven't really seen a lot in a couple different places, in like many places at all. So
It may just be the footage or how it was recorded, but like it looks like it's chugging.
I'm guessing
it
it's
looks-
probably the footage.
Yeah, I think it's the footage. It does not chug like this at all.
Okay.
It is a smooth game and very pretty game, very very bright colors and stuff like that. And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, we run into several times where we've recorded footage for games, and it's just for whatever
Yeah.
reason OBS doesn't like the footage.
I was gonna say like maybe I was just reading too much into it, but I was kind of imagining the scenario in which the frame rate was also tied into your like heartbeats
No,
per
it-
minute.
And maybe that's what you're seeing is like you're seeing it just pause. It pauses. It's every half second of gameplay time or whatever. So you're just seeing the game stop, and everything stops during that time. It looks pretty smooth from what I can tell in the a little choppy, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It really is a cool concept and
And
cool
So
idea.
it sounds like you finished it and you enjoyed it, so you recommend
Yeah, definitely.
Iron Danger. It's on Steam, I guess.
Yes, Steam. You can't. It's not a controller game. You have to play keyboard and mouse.
I guess this is a good example of a game where a keyboard and mouse would be good.
Yeah.
Like a tactics or a strategy kind of type thing.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Are
I
those,
can see,
are those like hotkeys you can see kind of along the bottom?
yeah, those are all the.
Yeah, I see hotkeys, mouse, keyboard.
Yeah.
All-
I mean that
all the way.
I guess you could like use the triggers or whatever to go back and forth in time or whatever, but this game doesn't have a controller support at all, from what I know. It's like it's also kind of based on like Finnish folklore or something like that, from what I read. But yeah, it's cool.
Sweet. That's Iron Danger.
Yep.
All right, where do we go from here? I have a couple different directions I could go. I have 2 games to talk about. First one, I guess I'll talk about Pathologic 2 first, because this game is... So, are y'all familiar with this game at all, or this series?
I've heard of it.
Anybody?
It's a horror series, right?
Uh, yes, it's a horror. Oh God! First of all, I couldn't have picked a better time to play it because it is literally about surviving a plague. Um, it is a survival horror game that takes place in like a village or a town in. I want to say it's Russia. Probably. I think this game was developed. I want to say it was developed in Russia. So yeah, it takes place in like a Russian town.
You sure
But
it's not the
everything
Ukraine?
it could be. I don't know for sure. I mean, it's a fictional town. Um, but God, how do I describe this? First of all, going into this, I was told by many people it's one of those things like I saw footage of it and I immediately was like, this game looks like it's for me. It's just like this weird, oppressive brand of horror that just kind of gets under your skin and makes you feel really uncomfortable. But like, it's also a very beautiful game and like one of those really just everything is kind of muted tone and uh all the people look fucking weird and devilish and creepy. I don't know. It just looked like it was right up my alley. But people were telling me right out of the gate that Pathologic 2 is a very unapproachable game, and that it's very difficult, and that kind of going into it, you should be prepared for the possibility that you will eventually die and have to start the whole game over again. Not necessarily guaranteed, but it's
Why
very
would you
easy
have
to
to
kind of.
start it over again? You
So
have one life.
the game is about well, not necessarily, but the game is about surviving this plague, right? To beat the game, you have to survive. I want to say it's 12 days total, um, and it has a day-night system, cycle. So you actually have a limited amount of time to accomplish your objectives. Um, and the reason you could potentially fail and start over is because if you don't make good decisions and you don't, because you have all these different meters, right? You have it's a survival game as well, so you have hunger, thirst, exhaustion, um, and on top of that, at the very beginning of the game, the plague hasn't really come into play here, but eventually this like plague falls on this town, right? And all of a sudden, on top of those things, you're dealing with your immunity level and trying to keep yourself healthy. And right now, I'm only on day 2, and I'm running around. I have limited amount of time to accomplish everything, and I'm finding trouble finding the time to do the missions and the objectives because I'm desperately looking for food to feed myself.
Hmm.
I'm digging through trash cans. I can't find enough food. Like every time I find something, I eat it. It gives me like a little sliver of green back on my meter, and then it's gone in like 5 minutes. It's
Has
not
your
as big.
character tried intermittent fasting?
Or
No.
cannibalism.
But here's the thing, and then you have this exhaustion meter, and I'm constantly exhausted in this game, and you can sleep. But when you sleep, obviously time passes, so you're sacrificing time you could be using like doing missions to like feel better. And it's not a
So
big
is
of a-
red bad? It like the red bars here? Is that like
yes, red is
okay?
bad.
So as it
Theoretically
builds up,
speaking,
it gets more and more red.
and honestly, in the top left, you see those 2 meters. They're both red. Typically, there's nothing there. If everything is fine, or at least you're not in the red, nothing
Right.
shows up there. So if you see
Okay.
anything in the top left, it pretty much means you got to start focusing on this shit. So it's I've spent so much of my time wandering around trying to find food and trying to figure out how to stay healthy. It's not a huge deal right now, but as soon as the plague hits, and this is what I've heard because it hasn't really hit yet for me yet, but as soon as the plague hits, you're doing all of this on top of trying to keep yourself immune and not getting sick. I can't even imagine. It's starting to stress me out just thinking about it. But when you're not dealing with that stuff, this game is fucking weird. So fucking weird. Like all the people speak in this very cryptic manner when you talk to people. It's just like I have no idea whether what you're saying is literal or metaphorical. Are you a fucking real person or a devil? Like it's just, and when you talk to people, it does like one of those cut away screens like you would see in like Mass Effect where you're talking to a person, but like it's like pitch black behind them and like they have this really ominous right like that, like the
Yeah.
lighting just kind of lighting their face. So everybody just kind of looks like this like really
It almost looks like they're recording a podcast.
almost, yeah. They look very sinister. It's really weird. But you're running into all these. You're kind of learning about the town and how the world works because there's all these like weird quirks to the way the town works and the way the things that people believe, and that plays into the decisions you have to make. Like the character you play is a surgeon. You went off to school. You lived in this town. You left to go educate yourself and become a surgeon. Your father sends you a letter saying, "Come, I need you to come back to town." You don't know why, so you come back.
He's dead.
And he's dead.
Called it.
And everybody in town loved him. And when you show up, they find him dead. They assume you did it, so everybody fucking hates you. So the first day, I'm also, on top of all the other shit that I've mentioned, I'm trying to like stay away from people because they will literally run up to you and start fist fighting you if they see you because they want to kill you. And on top of that, their religion in this town prevents, like, they don't believe in surgery. Like, they don't believe in cutting into flesh.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you being a surgeon makes you a very unpopular person. So you have all these little tiny things that are just picking away at you that are potentially there to distract you from uncovering the mystery of your father and what eventually devolves into like dealing with this plague. But man, it's such a cool atmosphere. It is so bizarre. It's so hard to describe because so much of it reminds me a little bit of, just in terms of like the style of horror. Maybe I might compare it to like Midsummer, if you saw that movie. Where, you know, he shows up at this town and the people you're playing as are just kind of not in tune with everyone around them that live in this town, and like their religion is very foreign to them, and you're just kind of like, what the fuck? But the game doesn't expressly tell you anything. You have to learn and just kind of pick up the context clues and kind of figure out what these people believe and how that should be impacting your decisions.
So are there like
That's pretty
monsters in this game at all, or is it just kind of like
The people are the monsters.
So let me tell you, it's like in this game, you arrive in town on a train. You have a dream, what I assume is a dream on the train, where the train derails. You get out of the train, you walk to the front of the train, and there is a giant bull on the tracks. Like, I'm talking like a 3 foot, like a 3-story tall building sized cow.
Okay, that's a very different scale there.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, slip of the tongue. 3-story tall, not 3 feet. Very, very large cow. And there's all these people that are like wearing these like masks and costumes that look very much like what are they, like, you know, the doctors with the long
Plague
noses?
doctor?
Is that what they're called?
Plague
Yeah,
Doctor?
plague doctors.
Yeah, plague doctor. Yeah, so everybody's dressed all fucking weird. All the women in the town are like wandering around carrying cow skulls, and they're like very scantily clad. And there's a reason for this, and I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to figure that out. Something having to do with them blessing the harvest. It's wild. But like, this is also it's kind of like a Fallout game. You can walk into any building, you can pick locks, you can loot anything, but you have to think about who's around you, who's going to see it. If they do see it, how are they going to treat you? The town is broken up into like segments. So if you go into if you're looting shit or you know, offending people in the town, in a certain part of town, everyone in that part of town will start to hate you. And when you enter a part of that part of town, it tells you like, everybody here hates you. So be very careful walking around.
That sounds like depression.
Sounds like what?
Sounds like depression.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Like your
maybe.
character's probably just losing their mind, right?
Dude,
Like,
anything is possible. Like, they've done so much stuff in this game just to make me wonder, like, if what I'm actually seeing is real. I don't know where this is going, but I'm totally intrigued. But I will say this: I agree with everybody who's talking. Like, Gigamir has been talking to me a lot in Discord. Skylander is playing it right now, and they've all been giving me great advice. But man, this is one of those games where, like, I highly recommend finding someone to talk to who's played it before for recommendations. Or I went to YouTube and there's like a ton of like beginner's guide to Pathologic 2 videos that are like really helpful, because there's a whole barter system that's fucking bizarre. Because, you know, in most games you would be like, you can buy and sell things from people, right? In this game, it's a barter system. And you would think that, like most games, everything has a set value and you can trade, but like, things are valued to different NPCs differently. You can talk to children and they might value, like, you can find like marble sets and they might value the marbles a lot more because they want to play with the marbles, as opposed to like, if you try and barter with an adult, they might be like, I don't fucking care about marbles. So like,
Do the adult ladies like cow skulls? Can you barter cow skulls?
I don't have any cow skulls, but like
Oh.
it's like one of those things where you pick up everything and you're like, what the fuck is this? Somebody wants this. I don't know who or why. Man, it's just there's so many systems in this game, man. It's overwhelming. I totally get why people say this is very unapproachable, but I also totally see the appeal of this game. There are so many systems in it that are just totally unique. And if you can kind of get over that hump and kind of figure out how things work, it's super addicting. I've already played I've only played like 2 sessions, I think, since I started, and I'm like 5 or 6 hours into the game. And it's one of those things where I fully intend to just play a short amount of time, and then all of a sudden it's been like 3 hours, and I'm like, well, shit. Very cool game. So, and it was on sale on Steam a couple weeks ago, which is why I ended up picking it up. It was on my wish list for a while. Went down like 50%. I don't know if it's still on sale, but if you're into this kind of thing, I highly recommend it because it's very, very, very unique.
Weird.
And yes, Illumination in chat, I did talk about the random people that will run up and fight you. The combat in this game is not very good, so the idea is to avoid. I think that was intentional, but like don't fist fight people; they'll beat the shit out of you. But anyways, the other game, and I'll make this one's kind of quick, but it's a VR game that I picked up this past week again because it was on sale. I think this might be a Jimmy. It's a VR Jimmy. It's called Lies Beneath, and it came out last month. And it was designed from the ground up for the Oculus Quest, which I guess is the the entry level. Yeah, it's standalone, but it's also kind of like the entry level headset, right? For like the Oculus headset. I think it's the cheapest one on the market.
It's the cheapest one, yeah. You can use it with just a phone.
Yeah. So it's compatible with the Oculus Rift S, so I picked it up, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. It's obviously not quite as flashy as something, obviously it just came off of like Half-Life Alyx. The world is not quite as robust and beautiful as that, but it uses this like comic book art style. Like the whole story is told, everything's kind of cell shaded. It's told
kind of reminds me of Walking Dead, like the Telltale games.
Yeah, it does remind me a little bit of The Walking Dead, not in terms of its gameplay, but in terms of the way the visual style works. But also the story is told through like actual like comic book panels, like with the like the text bubbles and stuff, and like you'll be walking through the environment, and when they want to communicate part of the story, you'll see these actual floating text bubbles floating around, and when you go between chapters, it actually shows you like a graphic novel or a comic book right there, and it's like turn the page to proceed, and you actually have to reach out and like flip the page in the book, and that's kind of how the story unfolds. But gameplay wise, it's kind of an arcadey survival horror game, and I say arcadey, and just in terms of it gives me a little bit of the like House of the Dead vibe to it, but it's not on rails, which is I think why I like it maybe more than House of the Dead. You have complete control of your character. You can move around freely and explore these environments, but enemies are very like House of the Dead. It's just like weird creatures that's wearing pig heads and zombies and stuff walking around. But the environments are really creepy. You're kind of out in this like I think you're in Alaska. You're coming home to your hometown in Alaska, and it's there's snow falling, and it's very peaceful and quiet, and there's these weird fucking monsters following you around. You're trying to find your dad, who you got separated from the beginning during a car crash. But because it gives you all this total freedom to explore the environment, I think it's way more appealing than something like a rail shooter like that you would find in an arcade. But also because it's VR, you have full control of like it has like the really hands-on weapon controls. So, like to use the shotgun, you actually have to hold. You have to actually cock the gun after every shot to like eject the shell. I see you, Nolan. So very satisfying stuff. I will say this: I'm enjoying combat quite a bit, and the exploration is fun. But it's done this to me twice so far, where it's done one of those scenarios, kind of like Resident Evil 4, right, where they put you in the cabin and they just start throwing it. Like enemies are coming through the windows. You're picking up bear traps and throwing them on the ground and stuff, and it's a really cool sequence. But goddamn, when you're in the midst of this and it's very intense, and you're trying to keep an eye on all these windows and doors and stuff, trying to also remember how to load each individual gun, which works totally differently, and keeping an eye on your health, which is indicated by like blood on your hands, and like I need to find a sandwich and eat my sandwich. Like, and then it's really stressful, man. It's really fucking stressful. I was playing this game earlier, and I was so stressed. I was sweating in my headset, and it was dripping into my eyes in the headset. It was, but I was recording footage, so not didn't want to stop. It's stressful. Also, last thing I'll mention is pretty cool. The way that you actually, they are kind of open environments, so there's branching paths and stuff. So the way that you can figure out which way to go is you pull a lighter out, and the embers that come off the flame of the lighter kind of blow in the direction that you should go, which is kind of nice.
Is this Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I see. And you also use the lighter in a few different ways, but that's its main purpose, is to kind of help you illuminate areas and tell you which direction to head. But it's a really cool little game. As you can see, you can also throw melee weapons and shit. Guns feel nice. It has this like nice little thing, like when you're using the revolver, the 6-shooter will help me out, guys. The chamber will pop out the side. Yeah, will pop out the side. The guns will reload, or the bullets will appear in there, and then you actually like have to do the motion where you kind of like flick it so that it slides back into the gun. It's like everything feels really tactile and nice. It's pretty good.
Oh, you're so dead.
I know. I got fucked up. I got fucked up in this demo. But yeah, it's really cool.
Eat a sandwich.
Dude, that's the weird thing. Like, it's also a survival game in that you're constantly running out of bullets. You can't hoard bullets. You can only put as many. You have a max of like 18 bullets that you can carry at a time for your pistol, which runs out super quick. And when you're however many shells you can fit in your shotgun, and that's all. So it actually feels like a survival game where like every fucking bullet counts. Every time I miss a shot in this game, I fucking hate myself. It's killing me. But I do recommend the game. It's pretty fun. I think it's a VR gemmy. I don't remember what the price is. I think it's like $20 maybe. So if you have an Oculus Rift, I do recommend it. It's a pretty cool little game. Yeah, it's called Lies Beneath. And if you like horror and you like VR, I highly recommend it. Do we have any other games that we want to mention? I think that was
the only thing I would mention is the fact that I said it briefly earlier and before we started the show, but I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake.
As did I. Yes.
Yep. So I'm done with that now. I have lots of opinions. I want to talk about it, but I don't really have too much more to add from what I talked about last week. Everything I kind of want to talk about, spoilery. Yeah. So I won't get into it, but I finished.
Good.
That's a game.
Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I would definitely give it a thumbs up. Yeah. At the end of the day, anything that gets said on a spoiler cast or whatever, and all of the complaints I've had about it so far that I've even voiced on the podcast, I would still give it a thumbs up.
It's a weird kind of game because I'm playing it, and the entire time I'm playing it, I'm just thinking like, oh, why didn't they do this? Or why didn't they do that? Or why the fuck did they choose to do this? But at the end of the day, it's still a really good fucking video game.
Like story or combat or
I think, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm
Kinda everything.
referencing there is kind of in terms of combat mechanics and pacing. Pacing, I think, being the big one. I think side quests in this game are just like, honestly, kind of atrocious. I don't necessarily think that's exclusive to this game, but it feels kind of egregious in this game. It's so weird, and I mentioned this before, but like, there's just this really huge disparity between the quality of the side quests in terms of just like their presentation and the voice acting and the character models that you talk to for NPCs. Just like are not the same level of quality.
Well, I mean, there's problem. Yeah, every character who's not a major character in the game, like any NPC who's not one of the core Final Fantasy VII people, they don't look good.
Yeah,
but I think
was too.
Yeah, that's true. I think the one of the problems this game has is while the side quests are not amazing, the last you don't do side quests whenever you want. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna do a side quest and do some main story, and I'm gonna do a side quest and do some main story. It's like, no, it's like there is a section of side quests, and then you do the story, and if you skipped those side quests, they're gone.
There's two very specific chapters where it's like now's a good time to do the side quest. You'll have like one more really good chance to do them, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but the problem is that last section where you have a bunch of side quests, it is not a time in the plot where you would be doing side quests. It is definitely not like let's go help these kids.
Oh my
Like,
god, the
no.
world is ending. Oh,
Yeah.
we should go do these things.
I'm gonna help this guy fucking find he lost this thing. I'm gonna help him find. Like, no, that is not at all the time to be doing it, and that's just kind of weird. I don't know why they didn't like maybe have that section of side quests one story beat earlier.
There's also a lot of little weird things, like you collect Moogle medals to barter with the Moogle kid, right?
Yep.
And there is a point in the story where you'll never be able to see that kid again, never be able to talk to him again. And I'm still finding Moogle medals.
Well, so I think when you do, I don't want to say New Game Plus because it's not New Game Plus, but like I think all your stuff still carries over. So if you didn't get everything from him early on, you can still go back to him.
Unless that kid has new items in his shop in New Game Plus, maybe he does. I don't know. It's pointless. I bought out his entire stock.
Well, then you're probably good.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird things like that I'm not so sure about. But like, yeah, hey man, nostalgic as hell.
A lot of the Moogle medals I've found so far have just been like me randomly breaking up boxes, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's
like,
where you're gonna find 99% of them.
Yeah, so maybe like they want you to they give you more than you need to spend, right? Just so you don't, if you don't find them all, it's okay.
Yeah. That's true. I just thought it was strange because like I got to the very end of the game and I was like, well, there's no going back now. Oh look, a Moogle medal, wonderful. This game is so, I can't even believe it exists. I had a huge smile on my face half the time I was playing it.
It's a giant fucking nostalgia trip. The music is fucking phenomenal.
Music is phenomenal.
So good.
Honestly, I think the battle system in this game is I mean, we've talked about maybe its shortcomings before.
Conceptual. I like when I'm controlling a character in this game. Yes, I'll put it that way.
I will say this:
I don't like what my party's doing, but I like what I'm doing.
I got to the point where, I don't trust my party members, but it's been a while since I've played an RPG that forced me to have muscle memory in my hands, where I'm constantly going through menus and jumping back and forth between people, issuing commands and stuff super fast. Mostly because I can't trust them to do them themselves, but that's neither here nor there. I found it to be very satisfying and fun, and it's probably the most fun I've had with a Final Fantasy combat system in some time.
Yeah,
it's just I don't know. I
find it way more satisfying than I did 15.
Just for sure.
I mean, you're doing so much more in combat than just in 15. You're basically just swinging your sword and occasionally dodging, right? You occasionally
doing the same summon over and over again.
Yeah, or not even
or not even doing
just maybe doing some magic or whatever. But in this game, I'm switching. I haven't really played that far, but I'm switching between Tifa and Barret.
It's been a while since I played 15, but wasn't magic tied to something really fucking weird in 15? Like a limited resource that wasn't MP? Okay.
Summons were the ones where it would build up over time, and you would only see a summon once or twice in it.
No, I know that, but
I meter too.
But I know that, but I'm saying magic wasn't that almost like an item you had to use? It wasn't I'm just gonna cast a spell with MP that I have. I remember it being weird.
What in 8?
Oh no, in 15. No, in 8 you still you just used MP.
No, I mean 8 you had to draw the magic out of them, and it was a limited use. Remember the draw system? You drew the magic out of them.
Yeah, you're correct. But you could have I guess that is true.
But yeah, everything is weird about Final Fantasy 15.
I don't remember. I remember 15 less because it was a bad game.
There we go. Opinions. But yeah, so we'll go into a lot more detail about Final Fantasy VII Remake on the spoiler cast. But overall, I think it was great. I'm still kind of
recommend.
I'm still kind of bitter that now we wait.
I mean, so in retrospect, I'm trying to think of a good way to say it, because no, you do not have to play Final Fantasy VII to play this. I just think you get a lot more out of this if you've played Final Fantasy VII before.
Yeah,
I do think it would be really strange, like
because
someone playing this first.
Some of our
would be like,
community members have played this without having played Final Fantasy VII before.
I can't. I'm trying to imagine what it would be like to do that, and I can't really picture it because I feel like so much of this would be like, what the fuck?
So that's me right now.
Oh, really? I thought you had at least played it before.
No. So I mentioned it before the podcast, but I am playing them both like in tandem. Basically.
I just didn't realize that was your first time playing.
Actually, like I'm already out of Midgar or whatever in Final Fantasy VII, but like, there's been a couple moments where I've been like, well, like in Chapter 2 or whatever, when you first meet Sephiroth or the Ghost or whatever, and he's like surrounded by the fire. Like I didn't quite understand why he was surrounded by fire until I played the part in Final Fantasy VII where he like walks out and like after he goes crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like I hadn't gotten to that part yet. I had just gotten to the part where you're like going back in time and telling what happened, and that didn't click with me until after I got to that part. I was like, oh, okay, now I see why he's surrounded by fire, and so like I think I'm kind of like skewing towards making more progress in the original, so I can like
it might be a good idea.
Some of these more interesting parts of that. Right now, I just finished that part where you have to dress up as a soldier and march.
Yeah, so you're
on
in
TV
Junon?
or whatever. Yeah. So I just got out of there, and I'm in Coastal Sol or whatever the place is after that. I just got there, so I'm making like a decent amount of progress every week or so.
That game's so
as I
good.
play it. It is really good. Like
It's really fucking good.
It's like at first, especially. I mean, like I know everyone hates the Midgar sections or whatever. So early in the game,
I don't hate the Midgar section.
Okay, people think it is not the best part of the game, right?
I made that statement in Discord the other day, and I regret it because people jumped on me. What I meant to say was that anybody who's played Final Fantasy VII and is going back to play it again, all they want to do is get out of Midgar.
Yeah,
because there is so much beyond. Chris,
hold on. I think things are being worded weird.
Yeah.
I think the best way to say it is Final Fantasy VII is a great game. Some of the stuff you do after Midgar is some of the most memorable and exciting stuff that people are ready to get to. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily make Midgar bad.
No, I didn't mean to say it was bad, but I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to make sure that like everyone's not mad.
Yeah.
If you know what's out after Midgar, it makes you want to get out of Midgar
You're just itching
faster.
to get to the best parts of the game,
right?
Which is Midgar bad.
Which does not make Midgar bad, but it does also make it weird to think about. Oh my god, they just made Midgar a 40-hour game.
It's cool so far. Like, I now understand why people are so high on this game, and I'm not. I've just breached the surface. Like,
this is a fascinating experiment.
Right?
Yeah,
it is seeing how Ed's playing this game.
Yeah.
It is so cool. It is
keep us posted on this. I want to know more how this experience goes. But yeah, like we will talk more and more about Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's obviously a lot to unpack that we can't really talk about without going into major spoiler territory. So look forward to our spoiler cast coming soon. For now, I want to take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about that Ghost of Tsushima demo, as well as the other several announcements that have happened this week, game-related. And of course, we'll answer some questions from our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. I'm still laughing my ass off from the break. We've got another game to talk about. I completely forgot. My apologies, Christopher Davis.
It's okay.
You have a game to bring to the table.
I do.
You played the demo for Ghostrunner?
Ghostrunner, yes.
Sweet. Tell us about Ghostrunner.
Ghostrunner, it is a cyberpunk free-running slash 'em up kind of first-person game. Basically, take Mirror's Edge or Titanfall and combine it with Dishonored.
And it's like time trials, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very focused on speedrunning. Basically, you are just sprinting down these corridors and through these environments around this giant tower called the Dharma Tower. The idea is that it's kind of like the Citadel in Half-Life. All sorts of bad things are happening at the top of it. And you are
and instead of taking the elevator, you're just gonna run to the top.
You are an android assassin. And in this demo, you're being sent out to rescue an AI that's been imprisoned.
Interesting.
How do you imprison an AI?
You just got fucked up in a fan.
So here's the thing about this game is that it is very forgiving. It has an instant restart whenever you die. Everything in this game is one-hit death.
So we're talking like Trials HD level of like you die and you're starting back immediately.
Yeah, but I would say much more friendly checkpointing than a typical Trials game. I would say it's kind of like a Meat Boy-esque. And just how you press restart, you're instantly. There's no loading screen, no nothing. You're back at a checkpoint that was just maybe 5-10 seconds back.
Okay, yeah. So I just saw you die and saw you.
Yeah, and I die a lot in this footage.
This feels like it should be a side-scrolling like Devolver Digital game.
Right.
Is this a Devolver Digital game? Because I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it is not. That's the other thing actually. This is being published by 3D Realms.
Oh.
That's kind of interesting. It's a separate developer, but they are publishing it.
Interesting.
But
and the demo is just like one level, right?
There doesn't even seem to be a level structure as far as I can tell so far. It's just structure? It's just this one course that you run through. I don't even know if it's part of a level or if we're looking at.
You say you don't know how it's connected to other levels or if it is connected or anything like that.
Yeah, because it like I said, the demo is all this strict course with a couple different checkpoints and various ways to complete things. Like you'll see a split path right here for me to go. I can slide left and go underneath that pipe and slash that dude and then run around and do all these things. But I could have also turned right and gone through an alternate route to that path, which I'm just about to do.
God, yeah, because this would be totally lame if there was just like technically only one way to complete it. But yeah. So I have a question. So I saw a moment ago you made a jump, and the jump looked very much like, oh, he's definitely not going to make that. And then all of a sudden it like slowed down, and all of a sudden you were across the gap. What was that? Did you
it's like a focus mode, really. It slows down time, and you can dash quickly to the left or right or even forward. And no matter what, whenever you activate that, there's a slight dash forward. So it'll help you cross gaps that you wouldn't normally be able to get across.
Looks like you can also like dodge projectiles with it and stuff like that.
That's the entire focus of that ability, pretty much.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I saw him do that a minute ago in the demo, which actually looked pretty cool. So would you say this game is fun?
I like it, and I really like that it's actually very forgiving, considering just like how much movement and what you're doing in the environment to traverse it. At this point in the demo, I'm already halfway through it. I just get a grappling ability. And when you combine that with like the wall running and the focus on the focus mode for slowing down and dodging enemy projectiles, it really just creates this loop that's a lot of fun.
So yeah, it looks fun. My only concern at this point is like because the levels are so fast paced and you're moving through them very quickly, it makes you kind of wonder how much content's actually in the game and how much time are you ultimately going to end up, especially like, if you get really good at it and it just becomes like second nature. If they don't have enough levels, the game's going to be over before.
I mean, that's a legitimate concern. As far as I know, they haven't announced pricing for the game. It's supposed to come out this year.
That's not to say they can't crank out like a bunch of levels,
running it
and they probably get more complex. I would imagine. Like
I have to imagine they do because
that long, you know.
Yeah,
I've played through like every super hot level like 4 times, and it's still fun.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Replayability might be a big part of this.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely going to be a big part of it. And like I said, the demo itself, people have been completing it inside of like 2 or 3 minutes. I finished it. This was my second run. I finished it like in 6.5 minutes.
Yeah.
But
this is gonna be one of those games. Like if it finds an audience, like it's gonna be fun to watch people
You'd probably
with.
finish the demo faster if you stopped dying.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard sometimes to get good, because I'm just a scrub. But
that's all. That's all we need to hear.
yeah. But dude, this is.
So
I really like that really quick like combat feedback of just like you hit an enemy, they instantly die. But also if they hit you, you instantly die. You have to restart. And yeah, here's the end of the demo. That's it. You meet
nice.
Whisper, who's the AI who's going to help you out with the rest of the game, and fades to black. But yeah, this demo it was actually really fun.
So is the demo on P? I'm guessing this is PC, right?
It's no longer available. It was a time demo. Tuesday was the last day you could play it.
Interesting.
Weird.
So,
And when does the full game come out again?
sometime this year. It doesn't say.
Interesting. Yeah. So Ghostrunner. It looks cool. I like Mirror's Edge, and I like cyberpunk stuff. This could be cool.
Dishonored?
Yeah.
Dishonored. Yeah. All right. Cool. So I guess now we can jump to. There's been some news this week worthy of discussion. I feel like we should kind of. Did everybody here watch the Ghost of Tsushima gameplay demonstration today?
You mean the Ghost of Tsushima?
Yes.
Like the guy was saying it kind of weird.
But like the question is, was he saying it right? And we've all
Yeah,
been
I don't
saying it
know. That's a
wrong.
good point. Yeah.
I would
Because
imagine he
seems to,
probably
like,
knows better than
work
we
for
do.
Sucker
I'm going
Punch.
to assume I'm right.
Yeah.
So today was Sony's State of Play presentation, and they did an 18-minute gameplay demonstration of Ghost of Tsushima, hosted by developers from Sucker Punch, which was a pretty interesting watch. We had a long conversation in Discord about it prior to this, and a lot of points were being made about just the fact that we're 2 months out from launch of this game, and up until today, we didn't really know much about the game.
We knew it looked
Exceptionally
pretty.
As Brad liked to say, it didn't really look much like a video game until today. And for better or worse, today painted a very clear picture kind of what this game looks and feels like. And yet to answer what most people are probably wondering is, is this like your typical like open world game? And I think at a base level, yes, this is definitely going to fall into that bucket of one of those kinds of games. Your Far Cry's, your Red Dead's, Assassin's Creed's, like, just big, vast open worlds. Where you have a giant map, you're unfolding the story, you're exploring, but like the game does seem to be trying some stuff mostly with trying to create a sense of immersion or encourage exploration and non-traditional means, I guess.
No, that's a good way to put it. I mean, it's one of the things I think I've noticed more so lately is games giving you the ability to either hide or minimize the hub, and this game seems to be taking that to an extreme, which I like.
Yeah,
I like the fox and bird thing that they showed off, where like basically like, animals will naturally fly or kind of hang out with you and kind of lead you in places. It kind of
looks like an animal is trying to get your attention, quote unquote.
Yeah,
you should probably pay attention to it.
Right. It kind of reminds me in a weird way of like Wind Waker, when you'd have like the seagulls that fly near you, and it'd be like, okay, maybe there's land nearby. Like that kind of stuff is always cool. Kind of.
The other thing I noticed was like they had mentioned like trees or whatever, and I started kind of paying attention, and I know they kind of led you to it, and I'm sure it's to a point they maybe exaggerated it. Who knows? And for this old gameplay demo, but there were definitely times when, before he even interacted with it, I saw a tree in the distance, and I was like, that tree looks different. And then he went up to it. And I think one of them was one of the ones where he found like the fox ad or whatever. But yeah, it's one of those things where they use context clues in the world to guide you instead of like a point on a map necessarily. I like that a map still exists and you can kind of see where stuff is in relation to each other. But I like that it's not just like, a point on the ground you follow.
Yeah, so like the demo opened with they broke the demo up into like several different focuses. First one being exploration. And it opened with what to me felt it reminded me very much of what we've talked about a lot on this show, of like specifically with Zelda, where he walks up to that hill and kind of just pans the camera around, and you can kind of take in the open
like the
world.
intro to Breath of the Wild.
Intro to Breath of the Wild comes to mind, for sure, where you just kind of see all these landmarks. And this goes back to like way back in the day, even to like the earliest, like one of the first shows we ever recorded was talking about Twilight Princess, or specifically Brad and David were talking about Twilight Princess, and they were talking about how, it's great to be able to have a world just designed where you can see landmarks, and that's what kind of tells you to go in that direction. And that seems to be what they were very much stressing in the demo, which was really reassuring. But then they kind of undercut it, because leading into this, they've been talking a lot about not relying so much on a map or your traditional open world navigational tools, I guess. And the first thing he did, like, he pans the camera around, you kind of take in the world, and you were like, oh my god. First thing he does is open a map and put a marker on the map, right? Not to say, and we had a little bit of a debate before this show, sort of recording the show, as to whether or not it's possible to design an open world game without a map being necessary.
I think you 100% could. You could probably play this game without using the map. I think it's just one of those scenarios. And it probably is. I think it's just one of those scenarios where using the map will make your life easier. If I had the next year to do nothing but play Ghost of Tsushima, I maybe would try it out without the map, because explore, get to know your environment. It's one of those things where, like, when I think of something like Red Dead Redemption 2, that was a game where very early on I needed the map. But then by 30, 40 really hours into the game, I didn't need it anymore. When I started replaying it on PC, I didn't need the map. I know where shit is. I know this tree. I know where this path interacts. I know if I take a left here, I'm going to go to Valentine. Like, you start to learn the world as you explore it. So my assumption is it'll be kind of something similar to that in this, where if you're kind of interacting with the world a lot, you just kind of start to understand how the world is laid out.
Yeah. And I will say this, when he did open the map, I really liked the way the map looked, just from a visual approach to it. I mean, I think this game, generally speaking, is absolutely fucking gorgeous in its use of color and contrast and perspective. And perspective is not the right word.
It's place in history. It looks like everything definitely would fit. You all right with your cats there, Nick? Yeah. But yeah, I agree that, like, his map looked like a hand-drawn map. You know what? There wasn't a road here and a street there and a river here. It was a very simple map. It was like, hey, there's a town over in that direction and there's something over here. It was very, very simple.
I don't know. You should go back and look at that footage, because if you look at that map, there are roads, there are listings for towns and maps and question marks.
I only looked at it once.
I do think it's one of those maps where when you first open it, it's very bare, and it looks like as you explore it, it kind of fills it in.
But the cool thing about the pinpointing and using the map there is that when you go back into the menu or into the game after you've pinpointed a location somewhere, the game's way of guiding you towards that is the wind.
Yeah, so
that was cool.
That was really cool. So one thing they've been talking about a lot leading into this was wanting to make the HUD very minimal, and we weren't really sure what form that was going to take, but they did the what do they call it? Winds of... They had a name for it. No, not Winds of Tsushima.
Guiding wind.
The guiding winds.
Yeah.
I literally just pulled it up because I was curious about that map. And the map's more detailed than I remembered, but it's not like so like detailed. Like, I don't know. Maybe it'll get more detailed the more you explore. I don't know.
It looks like a painting too, like a Japanese painting as well. But I did think it was really cool, like, that they took this concept, like, they replaced what you would normally use, like a mini map or a compass or something, and just made it something very natural and organic that in the world.
I think it's a way for them to show off the advancements in technology, as well as immerse you in the world. Because yes, it is definitely showing off the fact that, hey, we could at any point in time have a wind that goes in a direction and interacts with the entire environment. All these blades of grass that will bend over, and trees and stuff that will kind of blow in the wind. It's definitely kind of them showing off the fact that It is impressive. Technically, it is impressive to have like this
they have
world.
said in interviews prior to this that like one of their focuses was always the environment, no matter where you are. They wanted everything to be kind of in motion.
Mhm.
So like that's why everything we've seen, you see the blades of grass swaying in the wind, the trees, whatever it may be. Like the game never really feels static. I really hope my PS4 doesn't sound like it's
Oh, it definitely will.
Oh,
like
well.
a jet engine.
Lately, I've
It's
gotten
certainly
into
impressive though.
I've gotten into using these headphones because they're noise canceling.
Yeah.
And so I don't even hear it. And I was like the other day I was playing 7 Remake, and then I had to like take a break to use the restroom or something. I took off my headphones and like, and I'm like, oh shit! Like I didn't even know that was going on. Like,
Yeah, it's terrible. That's one thing I really hope that they improve on with the next generation of hardware.
Yeah.
And then so they also showed off plenty of combat and they showed
different
off
styles of combat.
different
as
styles
well.
of combat. So now
Yeah.
we know you have this very formal approach to combat that you would normally
The
see.
honorable samurai path,
Yes.
or the
So-
dishonorable ghost, which
So
kind of
did-
surprised me that like I guess in theory of honor, yeah, the ghost part is less honorable, but
yeah.
the fact that this game was called Ghost of Tsushima, I thought that was like, oh, that's the way they want you to play it, but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious how that's going to play into the story, which is still something we don't know a ton about yet. We did not even after today's demonstration, but
like I'm really curious if you can do like a full samurai run or a full ghost run.
I mean,
Probably.
I can't see. I feel like there might be segments, especially in like the story, where they're probably going to force you to be stealthy.
And vice
especially
versa, probably.
especially since, like you said, it's called Ghost of Tsushima. So ultimately, they probably want you to end up in playing the game in a certain way for thematic
Why not?
purposes.
Why can't you just fucking bust in the door and be like, dude, I'm a samurai, let's fight?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, okay.
I love that, by the way.
What?
There was a moment in the demo where you could actually call out a Mongol and start a fucking duel with them.
Yeah.
You just like
Yeah.
press a button to call them out. I was like, fuck yes.
Fucking compel duel. That shit. That is
Mhm.
classic.
Yep.
So
I also liked vice versa. When he was the ghost, he was like scaring the people, and at one point he kind of came out of the shadows, and the guy freaked out and was just like, and then he just like, stabs him.
yeah, he talked about fear, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how deep does the quote unquote fear mechanic go? Like,
Mhm.
can you develop a reputation on the island so that like people, depending on their
They fear the ghost.
like depending on like their rank or their own personal fighting ability, maybe when they
Oh, that'd
see
be
you,
crazy.
they become intimidated.
He like runs up on a guy and the dude freaks out and drops his weapon and like falls backwards.
And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's gonna spare that
Which
guy.
I
Oh,
wonder
no.
if that's like fucking scripted or if that's part of this whole system.
I
I
think
don't
it's
know.
part of the system.
I
that's
think it's part of the
certainly
system in that
dream.
maybe in that combat encounter. Maybe later on, like if you go to a new village or new area, they might not do that. But yeah, it's a good point. I don't know if it's going to be something that kind of builds over time or if it's going to be individual, like kind of scenarios.
Yeah.
But I do think if the former would be better. Like if you earn a reputation as the ghost, maybe more people would fear you. And maybe as the samurai, if you earn a reputation as a amazing samurai, maybe more people would even challenge you then. Because like, oh, I want to take on the samurai because legend says that he's the best. And so maybe more people would come up and fight you.
I like the way you're
So
thinking.
maybe you
yeah.
want to be the ghost because then like, oh, maybe people don't even know. Like, is that kind like, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I want to go the other way. I want to go like full samurai. I want to fucking do it.
See, those are the kinds of questions that kind of make me really. I was excited for this game, but now like I'm having these kinds of questions and conversations come up, and I'm like, man, maybe this is like, maybe I'm way more excited for this than I even even
Well,
realized.
I mean, it's more real now. You know?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely feels more real.
A pretty pre-rendered trailer.
Today was the first time I had that thought where I was like, "Oh, damn, it sucks. This got pushed to July," and then I was like, "It got pushed to July by The Last of Us 2," and I'm sitting here thinking, "It's, you know what I mean." I'm glad that we got such a detailed look at it today. They showed off some other cool things, but there's a lot they didn't show us, and I don't really know how much more of it I want to see because I feel like they've they've whet my appetite a little bit enough that I know I'm going to play it for sure. But there are still questions that I'm really dying to know the answers to. Like we didn't really get a look at like how side quests look or how NPCs look and act,
Or really
and,
RPG mechanics, for example.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is ultimately going to end up having much in the way of RPG mechanics. It looks like you're going to have a lot of control over the way your character looks in terms of the armor sets that you use, but I don't
The
like. I don't think.
charms seem to be a big part of it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's going to be definitely some
bunch of-
RPG elements.
I mean,
to
I'm
it,
looking
right?
at the menu right now, and it's like he has gear and techniques. So I mean, there's some stuff going on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In combat, there's like multiple stances, so I assume that you're learning those as you progress. And
Yeah, I guess when I
Oh, dude, that reminded me because at one point he switched stances, and I fucking loved that during the combat or whatever, he swiped a sword and all the blood kind of flung off
Oh,
of it.
my God.
I fucking
So
and he
good.
he swipes it, all the blood falls off, and then he resheaths it.
That
Dude.
first combat that he gets into in the demo is him walking up to a bunch of guards, and he does the fucking quick draw, and it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's
Oh,
so
it looks so
good.
good. Yeah, I'm excited.
damn.
Yeah, those first 3 swipes were like just kind of. I was like, "Whoa, okay, this
Yeah.
is what combat's gonna be like." Okay, cool.
I'm wondering how easy that was, or if that was just like a developer who knows enough about the game that like just does that with ease, or is that gonna be hard to pull off, or is that gonna be fairly simplistic? These are the
Right.
kinds of things I want to know. They also showed like the briefest glimpse of like platforming, like he was scaling the side of a cliff, and there was like this pathway he was walking along and jumping and stuff. And Sucker Punch's games in the past, specifically being Infamous,
Infamous.
and even Sly Cooper. I'm less familiar with Sly Cooper, to be honest, but especially the Infamous games had a sense of verticality and a lot of platforming going on. So I definitely want to know how much of a role that's going to play. And we only got like literally like a 5-second glimpse that like hinted that it even exists in this game. So I'm dying to know more
I'm
about
kind of
that.
curious as to how that's going to work in the sense that like I don't know if you'd necessarily see a samurai scaling walls to get height advantage
Right.
on like an enemy and stuff like that.
heavy
That's kind
armor.
of weird. Like a samurai would like kind of they approach them and they get into combat versus like the ghost ninja kind of type side is when
Yeah.
you would be hiding in the shadows and doing this. So I'm curious as to are there going to be reasons you can't do that? Like, oh, maybe if you are decked out as a samurai, maybe like, oh, your armor makes more noise or something, or you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, maybe when you're the ghost, you don't have armor on, so you take more damage. So you don't want to necessarily get into direct confrontational fights because
Right.
you are more likely to be. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what is stopping me from dressing up like a samurai and then hiding in the shadows and scaling the side of a cliff. Besides it just kind of looking a little weird.
Yeah, that's a good question. But it sounds to me like there's so much potential for experimentation and stuff. I just really hope it's as well thought out as it sounds like it should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they also showed off some other really cool features that were nice just to know they exist. They showed off the photo mode, which was, pretty standard feature, but like looks pretty robust, looks exciting. That's going to be a beautiful game.
I'm
Definitely.
actually super excited about that.
It looked like it, not only was it a photo mode, it was almost like you could use the photo mode to make and export GIFs,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
Videos, yeah.
looked awesome.
With
And a bunch of, like,
sound
really
as
cool
well.
particle effects and everything.
Yeah.
You can control the direction of the wind in the photo modes to like create specific effects. Really,
you can do
cool
more
stuff.
than that. Like Crispy was saying, you can control the amount of particles, like what
Yeah,
particles are
like
around. If you want these leaves or this dust
Give
or
me
this, and
all
how
of the
much of it.
Fireflies, yeah.
Yeah,
All the
gonna be
particles.
interesting.
I mean, like that stuff in particular, like a lot of this like visual influence they're going for, like using the wind and everything. That's super, super Kurosawa.
Yeah,
And it's like,
The fact that you can play this game completely in black and white if you
yeah,
want to.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, I was just watching that part of the demo, and they have this cutscene where it's like him in a duel with another samurai, and it says like duel of the crashing waves or something like that because they're on a beach. But it's not clear to me. Is that something that somebody made with the photo mode, like that little montage, or is that like a cutscene in the game? I guess because it's weird because they show parts of cutscenes from earlier in the game, and it doesn't look anything like that. Like it's the style that they're using to like shoot and edit the cutscenes is very like I would say like video gamey. It's just like
Mhm.
other video games. It's not really like trying to emulate that style, but everywhere else, like everywhere else in the game, they're trying to get this like really cinematic look, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really weird because I don't know that some of the stuff that some of the techniques that they're trying to weave into it, some of the like motifs, like the wind and the particle effects, I don't know if that works as well with like your really wide, like video game action camera, you know?
Yeah.
Like that seems like the kind of stuff.
I think like Naroshi says in chat, I do remember one of the first times we saw this game, it was showing like a standoff duel type thing. And I think that might be a gameplay element.
There
Like
has to be some of that.
like,
shit
you know,
in there,
think
right?
of like,
Come
you know,
on.
Red Dead 2 where you can duel
Yeah.
people and it kind of goes into its own like kind of like mode view. I think it might be something similar to this where not like
Because like
how when
the
you approach
cutscene for that, the cutscene
Mhm.
for the fucking duel was amazing. Was so
I
cool.
think that's
But then like
different.
other cutscenes just look so bland and weird. Like
I think it's different from the first kind of gameplay they showed us of him challenging a guy to a duel and then whatever. I think it's going to be a little more like I said, almost maybe someone approaching you. Like I said, like, oh, your notoriety as a samurai has grown, and someone approaches you and you take a duel, and maybe it goes into that kind of mode.
I will bet, and this is, I'm not trying to make this sound like a criticism, but I would be willing to bet that specific duels like that are going to be like on a checklist. Like there's going to be like a certain specific
That's
number
true,
of them
yeah.
in
they're very
certain
story
places.
points. Yeah.
Yeah, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think they worked it great in Red Dead. I hope
like the
they find a way-
gunslingers in Red Dead or
Yeah,
whatever. Like
I
finding
hope they
all
find a
of them,
way to
or-
make it feel organic and really immersive and cool. But I'm sure they're probably very specific points. But yeah, they did confirm that black and white
In the
grain
film.
filter can be played throughout the whole game can be
Yeah.
played like that. There's
Dude,
an entire
I'm-
Japanese voice track. I'm right out of the gate.
I'm gonna do
def-
that shit.
Japanese voice track all the way. I think this game is too beautiful to not play it at least once in color.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but I can't help it.
You're gonna do it right out of the gate, the black and white.
I can't help it.
I mean,
yeah.
that's cool. I want to know about it. I want you to do it and tell me, because it's one of those situations where if I end up loving this game, I can see myself immediately playing a game a second time and going straight to the black and white filter, because it's one of those things I definitely want to try out and experience. But God,
the color does look really good.
the color looks kind of amazing.
Yeah.
It's looking really good.
I'm pretty hyped. I'm ready.
So here's the question I have for everyone.
Uh-huh.
This game comes out July 17th.
Uh-huh.
There's
Same
probably
day
going to
as,
be a PS5 version, probably close to launch, if not at launch.
I don't think anyone's
buy
gonna
just
wait.
play- you gonna wait? Or are you gonna get
I mean,
it
here's the
day
thing.
one?
This is weird.
Wait for PS5? No. What? No.
No one's gonna wait for
No,
PS5.
what?
If you like it enough, I don't think you'll have any problem double dipping if they release a PS5.
Well,
version
I
later.
also think we're going to hear something similar to like Xbox,
where
Series
it'll-
X, where you'll be able to either you'll just have access to it on the PS5, or you'll be able to play like a upscaled version of it on the PS5. I would not be
Yeah.
surprised at all if they do something similar, because Xbox is doing it. Sony's going to want to do it too.
EA's doing it too, where they're
Yeah.
they're saying that you can basically upgrade to the next gen version for free and stuff like that. I think that's going to be a pretty big push in the industry.
And they know right out of the gate that they can't. First of all, we're probably going to have this PS5 reveal in June, so by the time this game comes out, we'll already know. So Sony already knows that what information is going to be out there. They're not going to want to do. They're not going to want to release this knowing that a lot of people are probably going to wait. If they make the wrong move, people will wait. So,
Yeah, and the other thing is, Phil Spencer said recently in an interview that like we're not going to see the impacts of this coronavirus thing until like maybe sometime next year, as far as like downstream impact or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like that's really when like we're gonna see things get delayed and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ghost like the upgraded version is not till like late next year, like which is what Prince is saying too.
But
in
you
chat.
also got to think about like that demo they were running today. Probably, I would assume, is probably running on current gen hardware.
No, yeah, it definitely was.
More likely is. I'm just saying, if they
Don't do it, Chris Davis.
Okay, look.
This is your answer. Don't do it.
The PlayStation 5 reveal comes. They talk about an upgrade plan or whatever. If they pitch to me that I could play this game at 4K 60 locked with full HDR and all the bells and whistles, I mean, wait.
But
you're saying wait to pick it up because you'll know if you wait a couple of months or whatever, you'll be able to play it.
but
You can say you'll wait, but then I guess you're going to sit around and play nothing until then, or just
I mean, there's other games
Also,
to play.
you're going to play more Division.
you do realize this is
Hey.
probably going to be a 5 or 6 months at least.
Paper Mario: The Origami King comes out like the same day, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That's a
true.
great transition because that was the next thing that was announced today. Nintendo. Okay, so this is
Dude,
why I
that looks
said
so good.
this is why I said it's starting to
Looks
feel
so
like.
good.
So Jeff Keighley organized the Summer Game Fest, and we're starting to get announcements and whatnot. Every day this week has had something, whether it's big or small. It's something. Monday was the Tony Hawk Pro Skater reveal. Obviously, I don't think any of us here are particularly excited about it, but I know it's a big deal. People,
I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
I
That was my childhood.
forgive me. I have never been a big fan of Tony. I didn't know you all played Tony Hawk, but I know it's a big deal. People were very excited. People are very excited.
Nick just
but
said that like everyone just went down in his estimations.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize you played Tony Hawk.
Yeah. I am quitting the show now. But that's a big deal. People are very excited about that. And then on what day is this? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? The next day we had the Unreal Engine 5
Yeah.
reveal.
That was Wednesday, I believe.
Oh, okay. Time means nothing.
Yesterday.
So
Yeah.
yesterday they did the Unreal Engine 5 reveal,
Mhm.
which was apparently running on PlayStation 5 hardware.
Correct.
Obviously, tech demo.
Did you see all those fucking triangles?
So many
Billions
triangles.
of triangles.
So many
Billions
triangles.
of triangles.
Literally every triangle in the world.
I don't
is
even know where
in
they got that many triangles.
I don't know. I will say that it's you got to take it with a grain of salt, like any tech demo. This is representative of what the hardware is capable of, not necessarily what all the games will do. Like not everybody's going to take advantage of it. I will say this: I think it's a pretty good indication of what we might be able to expect from late generation games on that
Right.
hardware.
Yeah.
But it was still very impressive. I will say this: we've seen things. Microsoft did their event and showed like this is our first, Xbox Series X gameplay, right? This is the first thing that I've seen that made me go, "Oh, that looks like a jump."
Remember when when the PS4 and Xbox One first came out, we were like, it doesn't really seem like that much of a change, but like this is like we're starting to get some crazy shit out of the next
I
gen
will say
stuff.
this, I still remember the day that we got the PS4. I was living with Nolan.
And we played Knack.
And we played Knack.
Mm.
We
And then
played
that little
Knack.
robot flew up my butt.
Yeah, that was a great day. But like I still remember the first time like we played Killzone. Whatever. Killzone, not the greatest game, but I will say this: I remember seeing smoke for the first time on the like particle effects on the PS4 and going, "Holy shit!" Like never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, the Final
As
Fantasy.
someone who didn't play PC games at the time.
In the 7 remake game, the woman who's like your landlord or whatever, her hair is like watching it bounce around, and you're like, okay, she's a character that's solely to show off the hair tech in this game.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff going around.
Yeah.
And in this tech demo for Unreal Engine 5 was very impressive. It looked very like Tomb Raider-esque.
Yeah.
It did,
Yeah.
And showing off a lot of ray tracing and impressive dynamic lighting and stuff. But like I was also thinking the entire time I was playing it, I was like, I know this isn't a game, but maybe it should be. I would play this. This looks awesome. And it
The
kind of
portal was open, then she like jumps off the cliff, and you're like flying through
Yeah.
shit. That
Dude,
was really cool.
that jump off the cliff looks like. First of all, I was like, this can't be real time. Like this
it
has
looks
got to be a
scripted as
pre-rendered.
fuck.
This has got to be a pre-rendered CGI cutscene. But like, they're insisting.
I
it
could
wasn't.
definitely see it. We've seen some pretty impressive stuff
Yeah.
with late gen PS4 games. I could definitely see that being not pre-rendered. I mean,
remember-
honestly, look at some of the shit with Final Fantasy VII towards the end of the game. Like some of that stuff that was clearly not pre-rendered looks pretty fucking good. Yes, I'm not talking about necessarily the environments, but like the character models and stuff like that, and some of the more detailed stuff that wasn't lacking in the textures looked pretty good. And I can imagine a PS5, which is technically speaking a lot more powerful than a PS4, being able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking about like studios like Naughty Dog, and I just think about like, holy shit, look what they've managed to accomplish on this generation of hardware. Like,
Right.
This looks awesome. This looks incredibly exciting. I can't wait to actually see a game running, like an actual video game that will be made available to purchase and play on the market.
Probably
like,
in the next month we'll see something.
That's what I want to see. But as far as just from a conceptual standpoint, tech looks really cool. There was also a few other small announcements here and there, but like, today, like Crispy mentioned, Nintendo just stealth dropped Paper Mario and the Origami King.
I'm surprised it's taken them so long to do an origami game.
Yeah, it seemed like kind of a given, right?
Like right up their alley.
Yeah. Looks dope.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've never played a Paper Mario game. It's one of my shameful secrets. This will be my first one playing, I'm sure. This is coming out the same day as Ghost of Tsushima. So gonna be an interesting one. But people are very excited for this. And it looked great.
It looked amazing. It looks like that game is gonna be hella fun.
I was like, God, like it's like all these game companies were like, well, E3's canceled and the world kind of sucks right now. And it's almost like everybody just got together and was like, let's just all agree to just trickle shit out over time. Because we also
it's the worry almost, right? Like that people are gonna be like, oh, we don't need E3 because we can just trickle things out slowly and get the hype up and stuff like that.
It
Different
is nice.
whole other marketing plans. Bro. It's nice, but
yeah, I mean, I do love
be
E3.
A cost.
I love E3. I miss E3, and we'll get at least one more E3 because they've already confirmed dates for 2021. But man, it is kind of nice just to kind of sit at home and watch these things kind of roll out, especially on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to like cramming it all into an hour and then having it just be over. We also got a few other small things. They announced a remaster. What they said, a remaster of the Mafia trilogy. And then they showed screenshots of it. That's not a remaster, friends. That's a fucking remake.
Well, so here's
the first
thing.
one is.
So
yeah, the
first Mafia.
And I'm assuming
is
the second one too.
Yeah, the first Mafia is a full remake. Mafia 2 and 3 are actually remasters.
Okay. Now here's what we're gonna get a full reveal of this on the 18th, I suppose. 18th or 19th, one of those. I couldn't tell. It sounded like I can't tell if these are individual releases or if they're all coming together in a box set.
I think they're a box set.
Yeah, I've seen them marketed two different ways. I saw the definitive Mafia trilogy, and then I saw Mafia 1 and Mafia 2 like as separate products. Maybe it'll be both. Who the hell knows? But man, I've been considering playing Mafia 3 again because I never finished it the first time and I was really enjoying it. And I've just never really considered playing Mafia 1 or 2, but like this might do it.
I've never played a Mafia game, but yeah,
either.
these
I've been kind of thinking about it for some reason since they announced it, so I guess I'm officially excited.
For some reason,
Mafia 3 was on my to-do list, and I think I might have gotten it somewhere. Like either it was like free on PlayStation Plus or something. I think I might own it in some capacity, but I've still never played it.
Check your library; it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Great characters. So yeah, it's been an interesting week. I'm kind of excited to see if something happens tomorrow. Is there anything else I missed?
No?
The only other thing was that Epic announced that $1 million of revenue, you don't have to pay royalties.
That's right. That's a big deal for indie devs.
Yeah, very big deal. Very big deal.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the threshold was before, but it was way
that's
lower.
Specifically for indie developers who choose to use Unreal Engine 5 for their games, right?
I think so.
I think that's
I wasn't
retroactive
sure on
with
that
4
one.
now.
Wait, what?
I think it's retroactive with UE4 now. I think it's just like a company-wide policy now.
I mean, Epic has more money than God now, thanks to Fortnite.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a great way to give back to the community and encourage indie developers to use their engine. So
it says Unreal Engine, so it's everything.
Just in general, that's cool. That's really exciting. You're going to see a lot of indie devs jumping on Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exciting.
And I guess the only other thing was the Mortal Kombat 11 expansion.
Oh yeah,
That
I-
looks pretty good, actually.
Nice, Nolan. You have it.
Apparently, I do own it, but maybe I won't play it.
Why?
Well, aren't they redoing it? Or whatever?
I mean, at that point, I think it's an HD remaster of a game that was
Yeah.
already in HD, and it runs fine. I
It's
played
a re-release, basically.
I made
Yeah.
it like 20. I played like 20. They're probably just throwing it in the box for the sake of calling it a trilogy.
It's on my to-do list. I'll play it eventually.
Sorry, Chris Davis, you were
Famous last
saying Mortal
words.
Kombat,
Yeah.
RoboCop or something.
Yeah, they've added they're doing an expansion to Mortal Kombat 11. I think like the first time they've ever done an expansion for a Mortal Kombat game. But yeah, they've confirmed Fujin, Shiva, and RoboCop. And per like the tradition with the various Lin Kuei cybernetic ninjas, there is a cyborg robot version of RoboCop in there.
There's a cyborg version of RoboCop.
Yes. Because why the fuck not?
I mean,
That's great.
I'm seeing something a little strange there. Maybe that's just me.
Oh, and just like the rest of 11, it is fucking violent and glorious.
I think Mortal Kombat 11 was a great game.
Like I don't know where they came.
I really
with
have
it.
no interest in playing as RoboCop, but hey, whatever. I see the appeal. I guess that game was great.
Also, this is the first RoboCop versus Terminator game in about 25 years, so that's kind of cool.
Oh boy.
If
Oh
you
my
think about it,
God.
because they put the Terminator in Mortal Kombat 11. as
No, I
well,
believe you.
so.
I believe you.
Oh, we
Kinda
believe
cool.
you. All right. So, Nolan, are you ready with community stuff?
I guess
think
so.
that's about it for news. While you're pulling that up, I do what I forgot to mention during the break. Both Ed and I think one of our community members found the podcast we were referencing earlier in the show. We were talking about the episode where we got drunk. It was from 2012. What was the episode
Just-
number on it?
296. You could just add it to the show notes.
All right, I will include the link for episode 296 in the show notes. Wow. So
If you want to go down that road.
if you want to go down that road and you want to risk maybe never listening to our show ever again, give that episode a listen. I have never listened to it. I edited the show, edited the show. I never listened to it more than I needed to get it done. That tells you anything. All right, Nolan. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, take it away, sir.
Right, wait, did you update these?
Yes, I highlighted some questions from the old doc that we were
Gotcha.
using, so we can get through those questions and be done with it.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, yeah. The reason I was having trouble was because last week I had made a copy of it, so I could edit it, and I was looking at the copy and I was like, wait a second, but then I found the original. All right, anyway, all right, let's time to get to some questions from our patrons and our subscribers on.
I think we have a new patron. Maybe.
Oh,
I'm
do we?
wrong? I think so. I'll double check. I can't remember if it was this week or if that was already covered last week, but I will look it up.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'm going to get to some questions. So the first one this week from Zero Skies. Nick, we answered this question. Why did you highlight this?
Are you looking at the one with the orange highlights? I did it.
Yes.
All right. Well, then skip that one.
The Zero Skies one with the third person. We talked about that last week.
Oh, okay. Well, then scratch that one. Sorry.
All right, and we've answered this one.
What?
Nick, what are you doing?
Okay. First of all, that is not true.
No,
You're
the
looking at the
second
wrong
one you
version.
highlighted from Shakuski, we have not answered.
All right. Well, then start with that one.
I'm
gonna
saying
pull
number
this doc
5
up.
on the list we have answered. Give me edit access, Nick.
I did. I don't know what I'm doing.
I just requested edit access.
Fair enough.
All right, so anyway, Shakuski asks, has there been a game that you really loved, but wasn't remotely on your radar until your fellow 4-player guys hyped it up? Examples for me would be Disco Elysium and Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Oh yes, I feel like that
100%.
happens all the time. All the time. I mean, the what's the one he just mentioned? Disco Elysium is obviously a very recent example of that. It's The Wonderful 101 is a game I would probably never have been interested in if I hadn't heard Crispy and Brad rave about it like they did. What else? There's price. There's like
Frostpunk?
multiple
was one of
Frostpunk?
the games that I had never. It wasn't on my radar at all. Brad was like, "Hey, I saw this cool game, Frostpunk." Blah blah blah. Fell in love with it.
Superland
Yeah.
from last year is a good example. By the way, if you go to our years in review page and just go through like every year, I guarantee, like Hollow Knight, probably never would have played it if it wasn't for you guys raving about it.
Hollow Knight I wouldn't have played until like a year later once the hype started to really build up, right?
It took a while for the hype on that game to build up. Yeah.
Oh,
I think when the Switch port came out, then it was like everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this game is awesome."
exactly. The original Nier would be a good example. I mean, Nier Automata is probably the reason I played Nier Automata is because I played Nier because Brad talked about it, and I thought it was weird as shit, and I was like, I'm gonna expand my horizons. This is weird, and I tried it, and I was like, I like this. This is cool. So that's the whole reason I played both of those games in the series.
Before I joined the group, I'm looking at some of the top 10s from previous years. The Swapper
Ooh,
was a game that
good
I
call.
did not hear about until you guys talked about it. Rogue Legacy somewhat, but I had friends that were playing it, that started playing it around the same time. I think like I started playing it and then they started playing it and we all were playing it at the same time. So that was a cool game to kind of bounce off of.
absolutely. God, there's so
Pulling up
many.
my game list real quick.
By the way, Robin finished Borderlands 3, so I should theoretically be starting Tales from the Borderlands pretty
fucking
soon.
finally.
Although she's still playing Borderlands 3, even though she's finished it.
Stardew Valley is a game I learned about on this podcast. That was one I didn't know before.
You know, looking back, some of these years were not that
Super
great.
Mario 64.
That's a honest answer, Crispy. I appreciate it.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4. Yeah, there you go.
Pretty much any game we've made Crispy play on Project M, for sure. Man,
Gone Home. I don't know if that was us or other people podcasts to listen to, but that's a kind of a one that kind of dropped out of nowhere.
for sure. Man.
Many fine examples.
Yeah.
Oh, Return of the Obra Dinn.
Oh,
Yeah, but
shit.
that was Carlos, and he's not associated with this podcast.
Yeah, we don't mention his name. Yeah, dude, Subnautica. I'm looking at 2018 was such a good fucking year.
It was.
Return of the Obra Dinn, Astrobot, Subnautica, Dusk. You know, it took me a while, but I just recently played through Dusk. That was solely because everybody, not only on this podcast, but in our own community, in Discord, constantly told me how wrong I was for not liking Dusk. And it took me like 3 tries, but I finally stuck with it, and I loved it. So there we go. Boom. Next question.
All right, moving on to our next question.
Just like, you're looking at the version of this. The top one is the question from Zero Skies, right?
Nick, you're on the same document with me.
I'm just making sure.
Like, can you not see me moving around? I can
No.
see you.
Okay. Cool. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah.
You've
All
got
right.
this, Nolan.
Next question from Fuzzy Turd. What are some of the most personal connections or attachments you have to a video game? Question is open to interpretation, just in case.
Personal attachment. I guess it's just like ties to like a specific memory.
Maybe, yeah. Or just like, yeah.
I think I've mentioned this a couple times in other contexts, but I have very specific memories of tied to my time with GoldenEye 64. Specifically, one, I totally caught my parents buying that game for me for Christmas before Christmas, so I knew I had it like a week in advance. And I remember that very vividly and being like super excited to play it. And then we went to Ohio for Christmas that year, where I finally got it, and the only room in the house that they would let me play the N64 was in the basement, and it was scary. Grandparents' spooky basement. But I went down there and I sat in the dark and I played GoldenEye 64 from start to finish. So that's a very vivid memory. Also, great Christmas memories are big ones for video games.
Yeah.
Final
Oh,
Fantasy
yeah.
9, like the year that came out, was the best Christmas I've ever had. Just memory wise, I guess. It's just so I stayed in all day, played that game until they forced me to stop. So good.
The intro to Final Fantasy IV in the music sticks in my head all the time. I was just humming it just now, just thinking about this question, but that was the first one where I was like, because I play like 1 and 2, but there wasn't like much there, but 4 just like blew me out of the water as far as like storytelling in RPG.
Is 4 the one that was technically known as under a
it
different...
was 2.
Mm-hmm.
It was Final Fantasy 2 in the US.
Gotcha.
When it came on the NES, but
that gets confusing, by the way.
Yeah. But people talk a lot about like how 6 is just this amazing game or 7 is this amazing game, but 4 like was my first like great Final Fantasy, I'd say, and it really sticks in my head.
My first was 8, and the intro to 8 is real fucking good.
Yeah.
Intro to 8 is special.
So good. Music is amazing. And so is just everything you see there. I mean, honestly, for me, I don't remember the exact year. Maybe it was like 90. I don't remember. What year did the SNES come out?
Ooh.
91?
Was it 93? 1990, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So definitely September 1991, I guess, maybe in America. So I doubt it was 91. It was probably like 92. But like, I don't remember. When my mom got me an SNES, just vivid memories of waking up that Christmas morning. And my mom had like, it wasn't like, oh, you unwrapped the present under the tree. Like my mom the night before had set up like the TV, and she got me a beanbag and my sister a beanbag chair, and she put them in front of the TV and had the Super Mario World like title screen playing. So we just woke up and like the controllers were there, and that was my first video game console. It was an SNES.
That's cool.
And I just vivid
Little
memories.
did she know.
Yeah, walking into the living room that Christmas morning to that, had no idea it was happening. And dude, that's what started it all.
Damn.
Of course, I didn't beat Super Mario World until like 9 years later.
That was a power move. It was a sick mom power move there.
Yeah,
that's good. Crispy, you look deep in thought. Do you have an answer?
Yeah, like Halo.
Oh yeah! Wow,
that was the game that like, me and my best friend in high school, we like spent an entire summer. Like he basically just like lived at my house for a summer, and we just like played Halo every single day. And like even so, I didn't get until like pretty late. So this must have been like 2004 or something.
Yeah.
A couple of years after it came out. But we all got like Xboxes around the same time and just like fucking lost it.
Nice.
Just lost it. It was great. And Halo 2 was the only reason that I ever skipped school when I was in like first 12 years of school. I skipped school.
I think it's valid.
But in high school, I only skipped one day, and it was the day that Halo 2 came out.
My friend, my neighbor, he was like, he asked me to play co-op Halo with him so we could beat not the library, but the mission before that, 343 Guilty Spark, which is like the first one where you encounter the flood.
Library, those.
Yeah. Like, and like he was too scared to play 343 Guilty Spark because of the the scene where the flood starts to break out, and so we played it together, and then we played through the library that night, and then we just blew through the last 3 missions together.
God.
And that was when I first like that might have been my first like FPS that I played.
Dude, split screen co-op. That game was incredible.
It
was incredible.
And that was the first split screen co-op shooter I played post GoldenEye, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so nice."
The entire last sequence of the game when you're the Pillar of Autumn's about to exploding, you're driving the Warthog down the side of it, and
that really blew my mind. Like the scale of what that ship is supposed to be. Like that you're driving this Warthog that you drove around the actual ring, and then you're driving through the ship with it. And you're like, "Oh my god, this ship is huge!"
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Chris,
I've never played Halo.
Thanks, Nolan. Real quick, your response about playing with your friend reminded me, worth mention, but like growing up, our friend Joel would come over to my house like every weekend and would like stay the night, and we'd play Grand Theft Auto 3. Probably shouldn't have been playing. Now that I think about it, we were pretty young. But that game, we played that game like every weekend together for God only knows how long. Never got old. And it was literally just, it got to the point where like we weren't even playing a story. It was just like, hey, let's just pass the controller back and forth, and everyone, you just go on a rampage until you die.
Yeah,
and then you pass the controller back and you do that. And we would do that until we couldn't
fucking,
keep our
like,
eyes open.
Having like a notepad with like the cheat codes written down on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That you got off of fucking Cheat CC or something.
Yep.
That's the one. Yeah, good memories. All right, next question.
All right. Next question from Villosaurus.
Yes, that, by the way, illumination in chat, that is the same Joel that Brad was cursing last week.
Yeah.
Correct. What meme or joke about yourself would you kill and never hear again? For example, Nick never getting his balls busted about Days Gone in Smallville, or Chris Davis never getting shit for picking up Zone of the Enders.
Zoe?
For picking Zoe in Resident Evil 7.
So true story, real quick, just quick aside. Robin got stuck in Resident Evil 7 like a year ago, and she put it down. And she picked it back up this past weekend, and she beat the boss she was on. And right after the boss was that choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to walk into the room when she was sitting there with Zoe and his wife in front of them. And she looked at me and I go, "Don't do this to me, babe. There's only one answer. Don't pick the wrong one." And she didn't pick Zoe. So there you go. Chris,
there are dozens of us.
You done fucked up.
Yeah. Fun fact: Konami actually put out stats. Chris Davis, only one of 3 people that picked Zoe in the entire world.
You mean Capcom?
Sorry, that's what I meant. Capcom. Sorry.
Yeah.
Damn, long fucking day.
You broke the illusion.
It's been a long fucking day. Okay, and we've already established my memory's pretty bad.
Clearly, yeah.
Let's see, which meme would we throw out though? I feel like I can take the Days Gone jokes. I can take the Smallville jokes. I think I'm done with the short jokes. Get rid of them. No more.
I'll take the Zoe jokes all day long, just as long as we get rid of fucking dabbing. Fuck dabbing.
Okay.
Hey, you brought that on yourself.
No, it was.
I don't even know. I don't even remember how that started. Do the rest of y'all even have memes about? Like,
I don't think so. I mean, not
like
at least
memes
nothing I care about.
Like memes that would bother you to the point where you want to get rid of them.
Well, there's a few that bother me, but like none of them are false. Like I don't like the meme that I never finish games, but I don't always finish games. So,
all right.
The No Man's Sky thing was a big deal back in the day.
No, I will proudly fucking champion No Man's Sky. I like being the only person who's right. Like, I like reminding myself that sometimes I just have better taste than you fucking cretins. Like,
shots fired. I like it. Ed, do you have one?
I don't think I really have.
I feel well. The only one I could think of for you, Ed, would be Brad likes to joke about when you come on the show to talk about a game. It usually is a game that you say you played at PAX.
Yeah.
And he likes to be like, "Oh, did you play it at PAX?" Sorry, I'm just saying that because I know Brad. If Brad were here, that's what he would say.
Yeah.
I did play the game at PAX that I brought to the table.
That's why, if you noticed earlier when you started,
I heard you chuckle. Yeah,
I was like, "Oh."
It's only because I played Outer Wilds at PAX before anyone else did, and I was like in love with that game. And then everyone's like, "Oh, this game I've never heard of."
Yep.
Man, you're going to have a drought next year when it comes to all these indie games that are going to come out that you didn't get to play because there was no PAX.
Yeah. Because
I remember me and Ed were hanging out at PAX, and there's the Outer Wilds booth, and Ed was like, "I'm going to check out this game." And I was like, "That game looks dumb." and I walked away. And
Oh, you're
played it.
so stupid, Nolan.
Yeah.
You're so stupid.
Well, I mean, when you just kind of look at it, it doesn't look like super impressive at first.
I
Like there
have a
wasn't
feeling
anything
that game-
screaming out about
Solar
it.
system in a spaceship. How much more impressive can you get?
Well, no, I think it started like it was just you were at like a campfire or whatever, and it was like very slow. And I was like,
Everyone
what the
was
fuck is
doing
this?
that demo. That
Yeah, the demo starts there, and so when I was kind of walking around the booth, that's all I saw, and I was like, yeah, fuck this game.
Yeah, that what was interesting about that is like in the game when you start it in the demo, it like said, do you want to go straight to the ship or do you want to do the tutorial? And I was like, do the tutorial, obviously, but the tutorial was like not important. Like you could have just gone to the ship and been fine.
You know, and Outer Wilds turned out to be our game of the year, 2019.
One of my favorite games of all time.
And you know what? You know
right
what?
now.
I'm looking at our year in review for 2019. The first 3 games for 2019: Outer Wilds, Superland, Disco Elysium.
There you go.
Those games are so
Oh,
sick.
Superland. There you go. That's the game that I would never have heard of or played if it wasn't for this podcast.
All 3 of those games are sick as hell.
All right, one
next
more question, or
Is that
Yeah.
And I think we're getting really close. We only have a couple questions left on this old doc, so we'll get through these and then we'll be switching over completely to the new doc. So
cool. So next question from Lao Kung Pao. Since we haven't heard these in a while, what are your guys' most recent or memorable shameful secrets, gaming related or otherwise?
well, otherwise, obviously, I started rewatching Smallville because I'm the worst. Gaming related, though, I feel like I made a really weird decision gaming related recently, and I can't remember what the hell it was. Oh God! Don't wait for me. Y'all,
No,
y'all, y'all are
I'm
ashamed of things too.
I'm thinking.
My big one is obvious. It's the 10 years of WoW that I played.
Oh, yeah.
Not
pretty bad.
Not super ashamed by it, but man, that was a lot of time.
Yes, it was.
I very recently started playing PUBG again. I've probably put in about another 40 hours at this point.
I saw you doing that recently, and I was.
Would you like to take a guess as to the number I'm at for hours?
Total hours?
Yeah,
No,
total
I
hours.
don't want. I don't want to know the answer to that.
Chris Davis, why PUBG over like Warzone? I know they're
because
different. but
fuck Call of Duty.
I mean, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, fuck Call
He's
of Duty.
like, yeah, I can't. I guess I can't argue with that.
I just know a lot of people are playing Warzone. So
Yeah, I mean it's free, so
correct.
It's good.
It's also good. It's
fuck
free
Call of Duty.
and good.
Fuck it.
The real answer is I'm not ashamed of anything.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Is there's not too much I do that I'm ashamed of. I mean, I guess in the not too recent past, I played a bunch of Stardew Valley, but I mean, once again, like I'm not really ashamed that I was kind of looking for some comfort gaming food.
Man, fuck that. You want some shame? How about this? I am ashamed of how much money I've spent on microtransactions during quarantine.
There you go. That's a good
good. one.
Yeah. What kind of micro? Are you talking about for like Warzone and stuff?
Yeah, in a number of games. I ended up buying like a couple skins in Apex Legends and then like never played Apex Legends again.
I've like kind of reached this point where I've started to tilt away from like just buying games all the time, you know? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll buy it and I'll play it eventually, or I'll buy it when it's on sale or whatever. I've started to be like look at it and be like, probably never gonna play this game. Should I actually like having that second thought? And that was just not the
I'm
case
going the opposite. I
years
feel
ago.
like since the quarantine started, I've been kind of going back towards that.
There's
being
my
like,
shameful
"Oh,
secret. I haven't played enough video games during this quarantine. This is like exactly what I wanted in my life, you know?
Yeah,
So, Ed, I would
you should all
echo
be
that.
ashamed of yourselves.
That more so lately, I've been buying games less, even when they've been really good deals.
Yeah.
Like when Tales of Vesperia was a really good deal on Switch, I was like, oh, I should totally pick that up. And then I was like, no, and I didn't. And yeah, I wouldn't have had a chance to play it even as of yet. And there's still too many other games.
My library of Switch games is just way
Dude,
too big now.
I could easily not buy another game for 2 years and still
And
have
always
plenty
have
of
something.
Yeah, I always
Oh,
have
yeah, for
something
sure.
new to play that I already own. And so yeah, I've definitely been like leaning away from it. If it's not like, oh, a game that's come out this year that I really want to talk about or whatever, then like I'm like, whatever. It's something I can buy 5 years from now for probably a fourth of the price that it is right now.
Absolutely.
I keep getting all these like, oh, Steam, something on your wish list is on sale.
Yeah.
Like fucking Far Cry Blood Dragon, which has been on my to-do list for forever. And every time I see it pop up, I'm like, once that's like $3, I'll bite. Otherwise, I'm just gonna wait until it's like,
right.
I don't know. Like I said, there's no reason for me to buy it because I know it's gonna go on sale again before I have time to play it. Is the reason?
That's how I ended up buying Pathologic. Is because it popped up in my email and I was like, oh, it's on sale. Fuck it. I didn't think I was gonna play it this soon, but I did it, and luckily I ended up doing it sooner rather than later. But usually it doesn't happen that way.
Cool. Well, that's all the questions we have this week.
Cool. Again, first of all, thank you for the support on Patreon and Twitch, guys. But like we said, going forward, we're going to get through all these questions that we have built up from previous. We only have like 3 or 4 left on this old doc. But for future shows, you can submit questions. There's a Google form that is the link is pinned in the supporters channel in Discord. Or if you're a Patreon supporter, it's pinned to the very top of our Patreon feed. So going forward, every week, if you want to submit questions, you can do it through that form. And we will, even if we don't answer your questions on that show, we will eventually get to them. So you can submit as many as you want. But yeah, again, thank you guys for all your support. We appreciate it. But now it is time to wrap up the show with the 4-player minute. Nolan, would you like to start us off?
Sure. My 4-player minute starts now. My hype is definitely for Ghost of Tsushima. Dude, like when I watched that gameplay, I was like, holy shit, like 2 months can't come soon enough.
They had me at the camera pan.
Yeah, it's one of those things where this year is kind of, I don't want to say been dry, because we definitely have had a few good games, but like there's not really been too much I've been like kind of chomping at the bit to play. Even when Final Fantasy VII came out, I think it took me almost like a week before I started playing it.
Mm-hmm.
But Ghost of Tsushima is going to be one of those games where day one I play it. Like if it arrives from Amazon at like 9 p.m. okay, but if it arrives at 3, maybe I'm done with work a little bit early on Friday.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Don't worry, you'll still have to stick it in the disc and
exactly.
have it install for
who knows how long
hours,
it's going to take to install. So if it comes at 3, I might not be playing it until after work. But yeah, so excited for that one. My sweat is actually going to go to Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm kind of in the debate right now. I know a lot of people have said you can kind of get a lot out of like the chapter select and hard mode, and there's some story beats that depending on the path you take, it might kind of change some of the stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, should I just YouTube that shit, or do I want to play it? If I don't pick it up right now, am I not going to be interested in a month? Obviously when I'm playing like The Last of Us, and in 2 months when I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima. So it's one of those things, like either I do it now or maybe I don't do it. I don't really know. My fuck you is going to go to like, I mean, clickbait is kind of obvious, but I recently saw like a video where somebody was talking about like a PlayStation 5 or something like that. And I was like, PlayStation 5 details aren't out. And of course I click on it and I'm watching it, and it's just all fucking just random speculation. And I'm like, why does this video not have more thumbs down? Like, come on. Like, I don't often thumbs down videos, but that was one of the ones I did, because I was like, this one, it's like all like just speculative bullshit.
Making headlines just so they can get clicks, even though the information is not actually out.
I hate it. So dumb. And I don't have a thank this week. I'm just like, it's been sitting there blank. I'm trying to think if there's something I'm thankful for.
Thank our first responders.
I mean, I can always thank our first responders.
Or healthcare worker. First responders.
No, that's a good one. But we did have in Austin the Thunderbirds did a flyover.
I heard it, and then I realized what it was, and I was like,
it was over.
Well, it's over.
Yep.
Shit.
Dude, it's so fast. The funny thing is where I'm at, they actually did a loop. And even though they were miles and miles away, I could see it just because, I mean, they're fucking bigger than you'd think. And they're fairly high up. And so we walked kind of like 100 yards down the street to kind of where it opens up and there's less trees. And I was able to see them do their path and then do their loop and then take off. So
they did another loop down in South Austin too, because they flew over Congress, basically down Congress, like straight down south, and then as we heard it and we walked outside and looked, and we could see them do one more loop down in South Austin before they flew off.
Nice. Yeah.
That's cool. I wish I had seen it. It was time I realized it was just over.
Yep, that was pretty quick. That was one of the things is Bernadette's parents came over, and I was actually, like I was like looking at the map. I was like, they're gonna fly right over your house, and y'all came over to our house, and they're like, well, maybe we can go back. And I was like,
nope, too late.
They're supposed to start in like 10 minutes, and it's gonna be over in minutes. Like maybe just hang out here since you're already here. Because it goes quick. They did their entire like flyby loops and all this shit in like 20 minutes throughout the entire city. So
yeah, it's pretty cool though. Chris Davis.
Okay. I guess I'm going to reiterate what I said last week. My first hype is for Maneater. Comes out next week. I can't wait to play as that fucking shark, man.
You know what? I'm thinking about playing it. I'm thinking about playing it myself.
It looks like just the right budget fun for right now. And by say budget, I mean it's $40. So, my second hype is going to be for Ghost of Tsushima. I mean I was still skeptical about Ghosts. I mean I was almost sold when they did that first demonstration with that duel at the sunset and all that. That was fucking beautiful. But now that I have an understanding of what this game entails, especially with that almost Assassin's Creed 1-esque combat that they were showing off, I'm pretty down with it now. Just a question of whether I get it at launch or do I wait until the PS5 version. So I don't know yet.
Just fucking get it, man.
I mean, I'm going to buy it. It's just a question of which platform do I get it on.
PlayStation.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, one of them. Yeah. My sweat is what I admitted a few minutes ago, in that I've put about 40 hours into PUBG in the past week. I reinstalled it because I stopped playing Soccer Wars. I tried, but like, it's just the melodrama and the characters and the writing. Like, I don't even want to talk about it in the podcast. I already know exactly where the plot's going to go. I don't know. It's not worth talking.
You gave it the old college try.
I tried. I was hopeful. It disappointed me. And my fuck you. Let's go to an old classic. My fuck you this week goes to Activision. They were gracious enough to offer a sale on select, not even all, select Call of Duty games on Steam this week. And for games that have been out for at least 8 or 9 years, they're still at least $20.
What?
Yeah. Like
Classic
Black Ops
Activision.
2 and Black Ops 1, they're $20. Like, why the fuck are they?
That doesn't make any sense at all.
But their most generous thing. Well, their two most generous packages. There is a Call of Duty franchise collection, which contains all the PC compatible games, because there were still some that were like PS2 that didn't come out on PC. And you can have this entire collection for $358.
Oh, Jesus.
Which is 54% off. Or if you're really an Activision fan, you can get the Activision Collection Bundle, which has the Call of Duty collection and several other games like Gun and Vampire Bloodlines and all that. And you can have that for a third off for $461.
Wow.
Like, what the fuck, man?
That's insane. And meanwhile, I bought 108 games from Square Enix this past week for $39, and it all goes to charity.
Yeah, that was
Literally.
a cool little bundle they offered.
108 games. Someone posted in Discord like, holy, I forgot who it was, but someone goes, Nick found out how cool it is to be a PC gamer, and holy shit, because it showed up on his Steam thing. Is like, Nick just added 108 games to his library. It was like a fucking huge paragraph. But I bought them all for $39 in one transaction,
And you're going to play 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I already own a lot of them on like other platforms and shit, but you know, $39, and I had games like Soul Reaver and shit on there that I've never played, some Thief games I've never played. I was like, this is a no-brainer. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's mine.
Crispy, you ready?
Yeah. My hype is also for Ghost of Tsushima. That shit, fucking
Chef's kiss.
yeah, it looked great. Looked fucking great. I have another hype, and that is still for Baldur's Gate 3. Guys, I've been playing a lot of D&D lately, and it's amazing. It's so good. It's amazing. I'm loving the D&D, both as a player and a dungeon master. And my friends are also playing Divinity, and the more I look at it, the more like I'm like I really like Divinity. I think it's a great game, but I just want it to be I just want it to be Baldur's Gate. Like, you know, like, it's I don't know. It's fucking.
I hope that hits this year.
I'm also kind of sweating about that because if it does hit this year, it's going to be like that super early access where they only have like 1 or 2 chapters and.
We talked about it. I hope that early access is like early access for like 2 months and then the final game comes out. Or something.
I hope that's not. I hope. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. And yeah, I don't. I mean, my other sweat is that like I keep like going through my Steam library and like fucking BattleNet and my PlayStation games, and it's like I keep getting into these ruts of like I don't know what to play, you know? Like I kind of feel like I want to play a video game, but then like actually doing it seems like such a fucking hassle.
I've been there. I think we've all been there.
Yeah, I've been there recently too. It's
I
like
had like
you aren't in the
2 days.
mood to play anything. It doesn't matter what the game is. You're just not in the mood to play it.
I had like 2 days straight last week where I just like couldn't do it. I was like, I'm gonna just watch TV.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So yeah, it happens.
And it sucks because I feel like this is a great time to catch up on a bunch of stuff I should be doing.
Yeah.
It's like
What I found though too is like the times when I'm in a rut, but I'm like, I know if I just pick something and I start playing it, I'll kind of naturally dig myself out of it. Like I'll get into it.
sure.
But getting over the hump and just putting something in the system and starting it, sometimes it's the hardest thing in the world to do. I get it.
Yep.
Ed?
Yeah. So my hype is for both Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. I felt like
The next 2
last
months?
year, I felt like last year we didn't really get that much in the way of like PS4 exclusives, kind of that were like blow out of the water kind of things.
Yeah, 2018 was the last year.
2018 was God of War and
no, that was 2017.
Horizon was year
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
in Spider-Man. That's right. And so like this year it's like Neo 2, Final Fantasy Remake, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima. It's like, holy shit.
Sony's having a good year.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I'm really excited to. I felt like last year I might not have turned my PS4 on except for to play Beat Saber, you know. And so this year, it's
good game to turn it on.
Yeah,
for.
absolutely. And Katie's playing it all the time now. She uses it to get all her Apple Watch goals because it makes her.
That's nice. That's good.
Yeah. So and then my sweat is that I am still trying to work my way through Doom Eternal slowly. And it's fun, but something's missing from Doom 2016. I don't really know what it is, but
I feel you. I
it's-
struggled. Same reason.
Where are you?
I
He's at home.
just killed the 3rd Hell Priest.
Oh, okay.
So I got like maybe 5 or 6 more missions left.
That game
Okay.
is great, but it's also I felt the exact same way. I was like, I don't
Yeah,
know what it is.
like-
I like Doom 2016 better than this though for some reason, and I couldn't put my
Yeah.
finger on it.
I
But-
think part of it for me is that the secret in this game are like way easier to find. It seems like
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I
It-
would say probably the combat flow. It's definitely different from Doom in 2016. So
Yeah.
there's some adaptation you need to do.
Right. So yeah, I don't really have a fuck you. Just besides fuck myself for not playing as many games as I would like to right now. I did. It was fun though. I did spend like 4 hours on Tuesday night just sitting in bed playing Final Fantasy VII. So
Nice.
the
Good times.
original, not the remake. So
Oh, you're playing on your Switch?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. Really good Switch port, by the way.
Awesome.
The
That's
speed up thing is like
Lifesaver.
absolutely
So good.
necessary
Yeah.
nowadays. Like
Yep.
I turn it off occasionally just to kind of see what it would be like. And oh my god, the frame rate when you get into battle and just the camera slowly pans to everyone. It's like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, if I was playing at a regular speed, I would be so frustrated by now.
I kind of wish you could do it with the remake too sometimes.
Yeah, true. But yeah, so and then my thank you. I'm gonna go cheeseball here and say thanks guys for having me on the podcast again.
Of course, anytime,
love
Ed.
you.
Yeah.
Any
It's fun.
fucking
It's
time.
fun. Hopefully, maybe next time I'll bring a game that I didn't play at PAX. How about
Haha! I don't believe you.
that?
All right. And I'll close it out with my 4-player minute, which starts now. My first hype this week, like I said earlier, the Mafia remaster, for whatever reason, has been percolating in the back of my brain since I saw that announcement. Pretty much since I saw those screenshots. I mean, it was confirmed to me that, like, oh, this isn't a remaster. The first game is getting fully fucking remade, and it looks gorgeous. It's a series I've always wanted to go back and play more of. I don't think they've aged particularly well. So the thought of seeing this one remade is a great time to go back and revisit those two games that I never played. And I'm starting to wonder, I might do a fucking if this gets, good reviews or whatever, if it's good, I might do a series run of Mafia and just play all three of them.
It's actually a very good year for Mafia-related titles. Like, we're getting Empire of Sin, for example.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that game too. That's the little isn't it like the isometric
Yeah,
Mafia?
it's John
Yeah.
Romero.
That's
Yeah,
pretty cool. My second hype this week goes to Ghost of Tsushima. I couldn't I've been so hype for Last of Us 2. I had that thought, like I said earlier, where I was just like, damn, do I want Last of Us 2 first or second? I mean, I don't have a choice. But like, I kind of would rather play Ghost of Tsushima right now. Not to disparage Last of Us
I think
2
it's
at all.
just the hype.
It's also a new IP, so it's
Yeah.
Maybe inherently just a little bit more exciting. Who knows? My sweat goes to Pathologic 2. I'm in love with that game. I think it's wild and crazy in all the right ways. It has so many systems. It's so deep of an experience, but man, I'm worried, guys. I'm gonna starve to death. I can't find enough food. I can't find enough water. I mean, I have enough water, but I can't
Too close
sleep.
to real
There's
life,
not,
Nick.
there's not enough time to sleep. How am I supposed to survive a plague if I can't eat or sleep? I don't know. It's stressing me
Why
out.
are you
just
just
thinking
talking
it.
about real life, Nick?
I don't know. That's what Pathologic is, man. It's real life, but it's also fucked up. But yeah, I can't wait to play more of it. And my fuck you this week goes to WB Games Montreal. So remember they started teasing their next project, which was that Batman game, right? Everyone's kind of assuming it's Court of Owls and all this stuff. And they did like 2 teases on Twitter over the past like 4 months. And then they went silent. They tweeted today, or maybe it was yesterday, I don't remember. Yesterday morning, they tweeted, "Thank you very much for the enthusiasm for our next project. At this time, our channel will showcase the studio, who we are, and why we love making games. So stay tuned." What the fuck?
I mean, they're just leading up to an announcement.
Dude, you don't start teasing something and then stop and then acknowledge that everybody is waiting for the reveal because they started
They
teasing
can do
it.
whatever they want.
They can do whatever they want, but
Maybe
I also
Nick, this is America, and
I
they can
also-
do whatever they want
Fuck
in
you.
Canada.
This is all like a meta thing.
I also retain the right to say fuck you. This is a playful fuck you. I can't wait to see what they're working on. But it's also kind of like, come on, guys, fuck you.
I mean,
You started teasing something twice,
what?
and then now you're just gonna say, maybe it was too soon.
Here's my question here. Why are you more excited for another fucking Batman project when there's also a Harry Potter project coming out that...
First of all, the Harry Potter project, I'll believe it when I see it.
It's not real.
I believe it when I see it. I don't think it's real. And if it is real, there's also a good chance that it looks terrible. I'll get hyped for it when it happens. But for now, we know way more about this Batman game that apparently doesn't exist, that we all know exists, than we know about this Harry Potter game.
I'm just saying, bully but Harry Potter.
Dude, believe me, I'm right there with you. I want that game to be good. When they show that game, if it looks good, I will be more hype than you can handle. But I'll believe it when I see it. For now, I'm just going to be excited for this unannounced Batman project because, damn, I love the Arkham games and I want more. But now it is time to wrap up the show. We are done. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Thank you for being here. Ed, thank you for being here. You're always welcome.
Thanks.
Video games, they're fun. They're cool.
Bitchy games.
They're bitchins. Oh, and Nolan's holding up this Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's
We're
Stone
talking about
on
Harry
PlayStation.
Potter, right?
We are talking about Harry Potter.
There you go.
Yeah.
I said, show me a good game, though. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
That might be fine. I have no idea.
It's not. It's horrible.
That game
Yeah,
is
Okay.
ass.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty fucking bad.
Good to know.
Like, isn't it a PS1 game that came out in like 2002 or something like that?
So
I
I
believe.
So I shouldn't nominate that for the Revival Club.
Remember
Probably not.
the ghost?
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next week, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you, y'all, for being here. 4playernetwork.com is the website. You can watch a stream on 4pp.tv. Of course, we want to have you in our Discord. If you haven't joined, please stop by and say hello. We talk about games all the time and other things, movies, shows, food. We have a new channel called Look at the Food I Made, right, Nolan? You started that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a good
If you
channel.
make food, you can show pictures of it to people, and we can all be jealous.
Yep.
So, discord.gg/4player. We'd love to have you there. But for now, we're signing off. We will see you guys next week. By the way, if you're watching us live right now, Brad normally streams on Friday. He's not going to do that this week. I think he's going to stream on Saturday. I might stream tomorrow instead. I don't know. We'll see. But follow us on Twitter or jump into our Discord. You'll find out later. Anyways, good night. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.